Hi, welcome back guys. This is your friend, Parallel Deku, back with another fanfiction. This is the 5th part of What If Deku Was Gifted Demonic Powers. Now before starting, please give this video a like, and subscribe to the channel if you want more videos like this. Now let's get into the fanfic. Where's the boss? Denki came down the stairs to the commons. He isn't in his room, probably taking care of Iri, Katsuki said as he mixed pancake batter. I think he went to go find a room to give her last night. Sanmob, one of the empty rooms on the girl's side. I don't know which rooms those are, Denki said. We had a room showcase like just over a week ago. How can you not remember? Hanta asked. Do you? Denki tried to defend himself. No, but doesn't everyone have a name tag outside their room? Just look for the ones that don't. What are you guys talking about? Izuku came down the stairs holding Iri. Pikachu was trying to find you for something, I guess. Katsuki passed some seasoning bottles to Yui. I was in Momo's room, Izuku answered as he sat at the table, doing Denki wanted answers, keeping watch for the bad man. Izuku said, Iri didn't want him around, so I agreed to kick his ass if he showed up. Did you kick his ass? Hanta asked. Nah, he was too afraid of my awesomeness. Didn't even show up. So you slept in Yaoyorozu's room and nothing at all. Even the slightest bit of stuff we expect from you two happened. Minoru didn't believe it. No, I don't think it's weird because apparently we slept on the couch over there the night before. What? Mina looked at him in shock. How? Just Mina hit her head against the table and kept it there. Did I just break her? Izuku poked Mina. Mina sat back up. Who saw this and didn't let me know to take pictures? Ijiro and Toru stayed silent, not wanting the pink girl's moment of anger to be at them. I don't know. Momo mentioned it last night. She said you were warm, Toru said before she could think of the consequences. Mina whipped to stare at her invisible friend. You knew you couldn't tell me. Toru suddenly pulled out her phone. Would you look at that? My mom is calling me. Toru walked away fast. The phone wasn't ringing, Hanta commented. Momo came down the stairs at that moment. Why is there yelling? You know exactly why. Mina pointed at Momo accusingly. You were sleeping with Midori. Half of everyone choked on their breath at how that sounded. Momo's face turned red at the inappropriate thoughts of Izuku that arrived with that statement. Clearing her throat, she responded, Can you run that by me again? What is so bad about sleeping in the same room? Iri was confused about the conversation. Any mature themes going over her head? Nothing. Ashido is just weird, Izuku answered the small girl. But she should stop doing in front of you. I will try, Mina said. So Tenya cleared his throat. Today is our first day back in class after the events of USJ. Do you think things will be different? Probably. I guess the other classes will either A, try to coddle us because we almost died, or B, not like us because we got more attention, Izuku said. Especially you. Have you seen the news all weekend and last night after your fight yesterday? Mashiro asked. No, why? Glowstick, you left USJ in front of a bunch of reporters. The whole of Japan has seen by now how close to death you were. Last night some people already speculated it was you in that thing yesterday, connecting the broken kid from USJ. Oh, Izuku kinda forgot how much of a mess he was at the end of USJ. They have been using you as the poster child of why UA is losing their touch and shouldn't be trusted as much. They should ask my opinion before using me for political points. Izuku sighed. Although I do have a bone to pick with UA right now. About what? Mezu asked. I'm barred from participating in this year's sports festival because of my recent behavior, Izuku said. What? Katsuki sounded mad. I wanted to kick your ass in front of everyone. All in due time. Anyways, Nezu thinks that my attitude isn't as good as he wants it, so this is to give me time to think. He also said how the media wouldn't be thrilled to see the most injured person from USJ just up and at it in the festival because he thinks it will look like UA doesn't care about my safety but instead attention. That's dumb, Katsuki said. That's kinda what I said, although I might have used worse language. How bad? Katsuki level but a little lower, Izuku answered. Momo whacked his arm. You're an idiot, you know that, right? I liked it better when you just called me a dork. Izuku rubbed his arm. Stop being an idiot then. That is a bit of a challenge, Izuku said. Iri got confused watching the two interact. Do you guys think we might have our second heroics course today? Mashiro asked. They will definitely be different with everything that happened. Are you following us to classes now? Scientist girl Katsuki asked. Melissa nodded. Just for this week. That way if Izuku's quirk does something out of regularity I can see it. What about Iritsu? Asked. She does need supervision. I'm bringing her with me, Izuku said. I think Izawa-sensei will be fine with it. I will bet a lot of money he says it's fine as long as she isn't loud. Momo whacked Izuku's arm again. How many times do I gotta tell you no gambling? How many hairs are on my head? Izuku asked back. Midoriya. Aizawa pinched his nose. Before I even get into the fact of seeing you on the news yesterday, why do you have a toddler here? She is Iri and she is a professional hero, Izuku answered. I am her caretaker now and I don't want to leave her by herself at the dorms. Is it fine if she is here with me? Aizawa sighed. As long as Iri isn't a disruption. Hey Iri, you just got a class at UA. Way younger than I did. Izuku said as he guided Eri to a seat. Wait, am I in trouble for yesterday with you two, Aizawa-sensei? Aizawa shook his head. It appears as if the situation was dropped on you. I will let it slide. However, when I give you all a day to recover, that doesn't mean putting yourself in a life or death situation. I mix those two up a lot. Izuku shrugged. Eri had a chair created for her by Momo. That was set between Izuku and her. Noticing how much nicer and also tired Izuku's teacher was. Before class, I want to make an announcement, Aizawa said as everyone got seated. As you should know by now, the sports festival is 2 weeks away. What's the point if we all can't be in it? Katsuki grumbled. So you know of Midoriya's punishment that speeds this along. Nezu has, with stipulations, allowed Midoriya to try to get into the sports festival. What? Izuku asked, surprised that Nezu would change his mind. What kind of stipulations? A test principal, Nezu announced as he walked into the room, followed by 3 upperclassmen. The first one was a well-built blonde with what could be described as a cartoonish face, with big blue eyes and a huge grin. Second one was a girl, way shorter than the tall blonde, who had really long blue hair and equally big eyes. The third person had indigo hair, was skinny, had elf-like ears, and was facing the other way looking like he didn't want to be there. The test of what? You gave quite a stern argument with me yesterday about the strength of you and your group of the Saints. I believe that if you are as strong as you say you are, then you should be able to compete with the top 3 students UA has to offer. Izuku looked at the 3 upperclassmen, all of whom had their eyes on him as well. Wait, so I am sparring with them? Indeed, 3-on-1, Nezu nodded. Right now, in fact, Nezu motioned for Izuku to follow. Everyone else is welcome to follow. In fact, I recommend it. Everyone was now at Gym Gamma, which was currently the big empty gym it was normally known as. So what are the rules? Izuku asked as he adjusted his gym clothes, his hero suit having been torn to shreds from USJ and still being repaired. I believe that if you are pushing your resolve as you say it is, I believe this should go until they have you incapacitated or you have all 3 of them incapacitated. Nezu said, I also have one more thing. This affects all of 1A that has joined Midoriya's group. Everyone looked confused. However, it should be said after this spar. Izuku clapped his hands together. Alrighty, let's do this then. You heard him, Nezu said as he stepped back, wanting to give them space for Izuku's test of willpower and the test of his group as well. The blonde disappeared into the ground, confusing Izuku as he saw the clothes of the blonde dropping to the floor. Before Izuku could question that, the girl shot spiraling waves of energy at Izuku. Izuku dodged by jumping to his side, getting smacked as the blonde, completely nude, shot out of the ground and dropkicked Izuku. What the hell? Izuku pointed to the naked guy. Get some clothes on, there is a 6-year-old here. Aizawa had already faced Eri the other direction. It's my quirk, clothes don't follow me, the blonde said as he dropped into the floor again. Izuku guessed he should keep a sharp eye on the ground now because of the nude blonde. Jumping up high, Izuku dodged another volley of spiraling waves from the girl. Before he could return his own blasts at her, the third guy yanked Izuku back to the ground with octopus tentacles. Aw shit, Izuku groaned. That's not good language. The blonde reappeared and slammed a fist into Izuku's. Izuku rolled back, before picking off of the ground and using his mold to create around him. Don't lecture me, Izuku shouted. You're naked in front of 15-year-olds. If I could be fully clothed right now, I would be. The blonde said. Oh, that's pretty. The girl said about Izuku's sphere of mold before sending out another volley of waves, jumping up and using her waves to make herself fly at Izuku. Thanks. Izuku dropped the sphere and sent out 2 supercharged green blasts at her, aiming for air in front of her. The shockwave could get her. Whatever your quirk is, it's cool too. The girl smiled before moving away from the blasts, but still feeling thrown off as their impact into each other caused a shockwave. Izuku dodged the tentacles from the third kid before he jumped at the girl, intent on taking out their best far-range person first. The blonde shot out of the ground again, and this time Izuku was counting on it. Throwing a blast, he got surprised as it went right through the blonde, who smiled and knocked Izuku over the head hard. That was almost unexpected, the blonde said. Izuku rolled away and turned his electricity on, sending it to his as a way to ward off the third kid grabbing him again. This is almost tough, Izuku said as he tried to think up a plan. I like your attitude, the blonde said, but you should know your limits. PSSH, Saints have never been good at that. Izuku decided to try something new. Izuku grabbed the energy he uses for his purple blasts, and instead of focusing then to his arms, he let it flow through his purple set of halo veins, coating himself with purple flames. The flames felt like they would burn Izuku if he held them for too long. Izuku punched a wave of the spiraling energy that the girl sent at him, causing it to actually got away from him and hit the ground before exploded. Seeing the girl look confused, he figured that wasn't meant to happen. Ignoring that for now, he rushed the indigo-haired boy, who wasn't expecting to be a target so soon. Izuku felt his instincts go nuts, so he jumped up, narrowly dodging the blonde that came out of the ground. "Oh, have you gotten my timing down?" The blonde was surprised. "Sure." Izuku tossed a blast at the blonde, only to see it go right through him again. Maybe his quirk made him have the ability of not being a solid. Izuku stopped pondering as he launched an assault on the indigo-haired guy, who had somehow transformed his hands into clams to shield himself. Izuku felt a hit from the back and cursed as the blonde sent him to the ground. The indigo-haired boy used his tentacles to wrap up Izuku, whose fire had extinguished when he got pinned down. The girl got next to them, aiming her arms at Izuku. Nezu sipped his tea, ready to see if Izuku would pass as the true part of this test. The other saints looked on with worry that Izuku had just failed. Izuku felt anger at being pinned. Losing this was not acceptable. A bit of black fluid shot through his halo veins at the thought of him being a failure. "I think the blonde tried to say. "No," Izuku shouted. "Saints aren't out until we're dead or unconscious." Izuku used his mold to shield himself from the blue-haired girl's direction and erupted in electricity, shocking the blonde off of him and making the indigo kid let go. Izuku rolled away and shot multiple green blasts into the air, hitting the lights around them and making the area get darker. Soon Izuku had broken the last light and the entire gym was in darkness, save for his halo veins. "You made yourself a big target, I hope you realize." The blonde wondered why the kid with glowing veins all over his body would turn off all the lights. He was now the only visible thing. "You're all the only targets," Izuku said lowly, as he poured almost all of his energy into the halo. Forcing his abilities off was a constant work. Not having a proper switch, he had to keep a watch on having them cut off from being active and making his halo veins glow. He succeeded in masking himself in the darkness, leaving only the red lines on his face and eye visible. Izuku's 3 opponents felt a shiver as they saw the pupil expand and make the whole eye a red orb, draining the red lines of their glow as well, leaving just his eye. "I can see in the darkness, can you?" Izuku said in a whisper before closing his red eye, melting into the darkness. Everything was silent, and it unnerved everyone watching. It was impossible to tell if Izuku had chosen to stand still and just scare them, or he was actually moving and planning an attack. Yuri felt intimidated by this side of her hero, wanting him back to his smiling, glowing self. Momo shuddered from how scary her crush could get sometimes. The blonde felt like he was being watched for a second and prepared himself for any attack, despite not being able to see or even hear his younger opponent moving. Kyoka and Mezu were the only two with any idea of where Izuku was. Kyoka using her jacks to hear the sounds of his careful steps, and Mezu making multiple ears to hear his boss and more eyes better equipped for darkness, allowing him to make out a form that must be Izuku in the darkness. Seeing him about to take his first attack, the girl suddenly yelped as Izuku opened his eye again right in front of her and began to attack her. Completely caught off guard, she couldn't properly defend herself before she was knocked to the ground and went unconscious. The blonde shivered in the dark. Nejire. Izuku's eye closed again and he again slipped into the darkness. The indigo-haired kid felt a chill and transformed his arm into a clam to protect his side, right as Izuku went for a strike. Mirio, the indigo-haired guy, shouted. "He is here." The blonde, now known as Mirio, nodded. On it, he disappeared into the ground. Izuku jumped away before crouching low and thinking of his situation. He can see through his eyelid with the eye closed, but it needs to open every 10 seconds. The indigo-haired guy had a good defense and could very well somehow transform into something that could also see in the dark. The other guy seemingly couldn't be hit at all, but that must be him perfectly timing his quirk activation. Izuku only had his natural but still incredible strength and his ability to see in the dark, all of his other abilities having been forced off hard to turn his glowing veins off. He could go in for a number of strikes at the Mirio character to see if he could be hit, but he would have to strike him while he was up and not in the ground. Mirio shot out of the ground next to the other boy. "You okay, Tamaki?" Tamaki turned his legs into bird's talons. "I can't see him anymore. This is fighting blind," Mirio commented. "Maybe for you," Izuku said next to Tamaki, who tried to go for a strike, but Izuku silently jumped over him and slammed his legs into Mirio's, actually hitting him. Whoa, Mirio jumped back and somehow became intangible in his as Izuku tried to hit it. "You got a hit. I will get more." Izuku flipped backwards and slammed a heel down on Tamaki's shoulder, causing a pop sound. Tamaki winced as he felt his shoulder pop out of place. Izuku went for uppercut to Tamaki's jaw and felt a powerful strike to his and back at the same time, both Tamaki and Mirio landing hits on him. Izuku coughed up some as the hit from Tamaki was with those talons, and it definitely cut something and felt even more forceful than talons look. Mirio grabbed Izuku's arms and held them tightly behind Izuku, and Tamaki regrew his tentacles to hold Izuku down more. "Second time should do it," Mirio said. Izuku struggled. No, not until Izuku felt a hard impact against his head and blacked out. Minutes later, Izuku reopened his eyes. "What happened?" Izuku asked as he could see the lights were back on. "I headbutted you," Mirio, now with his clothes back on, said, "You did say how saints kept going till they were dead or unconscious, and I decided the latter was better." Izuku rubbed where he felt the bump on his head. "You were right. You actually did way better than we thought you would." Mirio gave a thumbs up. "The principal said how he wanted to test your character and gave you a challenge he didn't expect you to win." "What? Why?" Izuku asked before he sighed. "You wanted to see if I was all talk about saints going against the current." "Correct," Nezu smiled. "You talked about facing any challenge head-on and ignoring the risk. I wanted to see if you truly would keep going against the odds. These are the big three here: Neji Hato, Tamaki Amajiki, and Mirio Tagata, three of the most powerful students we have here at UA, and even stronger as a team. Pro heroes that have experience would struggle with that lineup. You even knew that, but kept fighting, not even giving up when they all had you pinned down the first time. I didn't expect you to actually do as much damage to them. However, you knocked out Miss Hato, dislocated one of Amajiki's shoulders, and was the first person in 2 years to get a hit on Mr. Tagata. I don't like how I could barely fight it off before he knocked me out." Neji pouted. "Your eye is scary like that." "It was unexpected," Tamaki mumbled. "What is your quirk anyways?" Izuku looked at Mirio. "Can you make yourself intangible or something that would explain my attacks going through you and you falling into the floor?" Mirio smiled. "Correct, you are a sharp one. Wait, that means that every part of you is intangible." Izuku put his hand to his chin as he thought. "Well, yay." So Toru asked, "Think about it." Izuku said, "If he can pass through objects, everything passes through him. During his quirk usage, then he wouldn't be able to breathe oxygen because it goes through him, can't see because light won't hit his eyes, and sound will pass his ears without hitting them, so he wouldn't hear either. He is blind during it." "Wow, first you are the first person to hit me in a while, and the first person that gets all of the catches of my quirk before I can explain it." "You are correct, my quirk is basically being blind to the world. And you kept hitting me and getting to me without messing up. Your prediction ability is off the charts." Mirio's grin got bigger. "I like you, kid. You have good potential. I'm a saint. We're built on potential." Izuku boasted. "That actually brings me to another point," Principal Nezu said. "None of you in 1A are allowed to participate in the sports festival if you continue to be saints." "What?" Izuku and his group all shouted in protest. "I don't want to repeat myself. However, you're running a group inside of the school is enough for me to warrant saying that you have a disregard for the rule of an unsupervised organization. Violating that is enough for me to bar any member from the festival. Stop the group or leave it and you can join the sports festival." Nezu watched every student's reaction. "Well then," Katsuki said, "you just lost some of the best possible contenders in the whole damn thing." "Yay, sucks to suck." Denki nodded. "It is a loss, but saints stick together," Tenya said firmly. "As the boss says, saints are about loyalty." Hanta crossed his arms. "So we can go without that festival," Shoto added. Izuku had pride as he watched every one of his saints all stand firm in the group, feeling tears of happiness begin to well up. "So you all stand together?" Nezu asked. "Taking the problem together despite leaving being a way to benefit yourself. That is loyalty, like what Midoriya said. We're about loyalty," Izuku stated. "Indeed. I will be waiting to see how well the saints do at the sports festival." Nezu smiled. "Wait, we're allowed in it?" Meshuro asked. "It was a test," Tsuyu asked. "It was." Aizawa spoke. "Midoriya does say a lot about his saints. I believe hearing him say multiple times that saints don't leave others behind or saints stick together, something you all also agree with. I wanted to see if his group was as he said it was. Loyalty is a good aspect, even if you all go into trouble just for one of you. I will allow this group as long as you have 1 or 2 teachers in support of it." "PSSH easy." Izuku snorted. "Have them by the end of the day," Nezu said as he left, the big 3 following him. "Hey, Aizawa-sensei." "Yes." Aizawa yawned. "I sponsor this. You all have gotten stronger just being together. Even if you get into trouble, I think this is good for you." "Awesome," Izuku said. "I already know the second teacher." "That was fast," Katsuki remarked. "Who is it?" Tsuyu asked. "All Might," Izuku announced. "He met Grandpa, knows about the saints, and I know he supports my goal anyways, so sponsoring it like this is something he would do." "Excellent," Katsuki said. "Which means we can go in that sports festival and I can win in front of the world. I would drop you like I drop my brain cells," Izuku said as they began to move back to the school, Izuku holding Eri's hand. "You realize you called yourself dumb, right?" Hanta asked. "Yeah, I tackled a guy with a quirk based on touch off of a building. I don't think smart sometimes. Good thing we're smart, especially Yae Arazu." Denki said. "You're an idiot though." Kyoka looked at Denki. "That was uncalled for," Denki said. It was now lunch and 1A had split to 3 tables in the back, with enough space for the addition of Eri and Melissa. "Hey, Glowstick. What the hell was that?" Katsuki asked his friend. "What do you mean?" "I think he means you're fighting in the dark," Iwi answered. "That was definitely new," Nito said. "Yeah, that red energy ingot from the Namu seemed to patch onto my face. Gives me a sort of darkness vision." Everything is red with it active and I am weaker to light with that eye during it. If it can alter your eye, what about your ears? Some of the lines go to it. Momo indicated to the mentioned lines. Haven't tried. Maybe since that Namu was jacked up with multiple powers and probably stuff to boost his senses when my quirk stole the energy to keep, I might have small versions of it. Or your energy repaired your eye using the red energy and that just happened. Katsuki said, since you decided to have an odd quirk that is hard to read, sometimes we don't know. Try to do what you did to your eye but with your ear. Yui offered. I will do that later. Now I want to talk about something important. Your fire for Momo. Can it for now, Pinky? Katsuki said. I'm going to annoy you next when I find you a partner. Mina threatened. I wouldn't even be worried if I even liked anyone. Katsuki stated, no one noticing the slight frown from Yui. I want us all to be show stealers at the sports festival. Izuku said, getting the conversation back to the big topic. Nezu wanted to make it difficult for us to be there, so we gotta make sure everyone knows we are there. What's the sports festival? Eri asked, struggling to peel an orange. A special event held every year that UA does. Izuku started, as he helped Eri peel the orange. It means a whole lot, and especially the first-year students like us, because it is like our debut to showcase our abilities in order to get scouted by pro heroes to get internships. The sports festival is a huge event, and I want it to be where the Saints announce our presence to the whole world. Wow, the whole world. Eri pictured it while eating slices of the orange Izuku finished peeling. So how do we go about it? Boss Hanta asked from another table. We will spend a lot of the time between then and now working our asses off, I can tell you that. We get as many of us past the first round, which is made most of the time to take out like 90% of the competition. But not us. Refine our skills and make sure that people outside of our class don't know as much, so we can pull out the big guns and amaze as many people as possible with the stuff that Saints are made of. Pure awesomeness is what it is. Denki said, I have an idea. I wanted the test out, but it can wait till after our heroics course today. Does anyone notice how people are looking at us funny? Mina asked. The Saints turned to see that in fact a large majority of the lunchroom was looking at the group that had tables farther away from everyone. Izuku knew that no one else actually heard what he was saying and took one of two guesses. Either everyone was just looking at the class that survived a villain attack, or they were trying to scope their competition. Please don't make a scene. Momo tried to stop Izuku. Izuku made a scene. What are you all looking at? Izuku yelled. Off all of you. Katsuki joined Izuku, only for Yui to lightly smack his arm, making him look irritated but sitting back down. Just looking at the competition. A boy with lilac-colored hair and tired eyes said, everyone here is well aware of when that sports festival arrives, most of the heavy hitters will be from the 2 heroics courses, especially 1A, the class that survived a villain attack. Damn right we are competition. Of course everyone will be giving it their all to get into the hero course classes, seeing as how evaluations will be made at the sports festival to see if anyone in general studies has more of what it takes to get into the course. With your class being weak from the attack, it will be easy to get a spot. 1A knew the guy struck a nerve with Izuku when he called them all weak. Izuku stood up and walked over to the boy, standing slightly taller than him. Listen, head, and this goes for all of you. I don't take insults to my crew well. Better remember that next time, especially since I know any one of my Saints could drop you all right now, and before you. Izuku poked the lilac-haired boy in. Come at my friends, you should not look so scrawny that my 6-year-old could drop you. At that moment people looked at Eri to see her accidentally miss putting her straw in her juice box. The lilac-haired guy stared into Izuku's eyes, studying him, noting how Izuku didn't brag for himself but rather the class, and a 6-year-old that was there for some reason. Well, I guess we have a war then. Oh, you don't want a war with the Saints, Izuku said. The two keep staring at each other. Yeah, Momo, if I wasn't so for you and Midori, I would have yelled for them to by now, so I hope you understand my sacrifice here. Mina whispered to Momo. Why do you tell me these things? Momo wondered what she did to deserve Mina's teasing, even if it was sometimes nice. Hey boss, stop scaring the extras and get back here. Katsuki broke the silence. If I can't talk shit, then no one can. I think I made my point anyways. Izuku walked back to his seat. You realize you might have painted a target on all of our backs, right? Nito asked. Yeah, I am aware. We can handle it. I know we can. I am just making sure you know what you are doing. Nito sighed. I always know what I am doing, Izuku said as he tried to drink from the bottom of an unopened juice box, looking confused about why he wasn't getting the juice. Momo rotated the box and sighed. Our leader is a 2-year-old. I thought I was 4, Izuku replied. Good afternoon. Students of 1A All Might greeted them as he entered their classroom. Today you have another foundational heroic studies class. Is it the one we were meant to have last week? Ochako asked. That very one. All Might pressed the button that opened the panels on the walls for everyone's hero suits, everyone having a case except for Izuku. Damn, your suit still isn't repaired, Denki said. Nope, guess I get my gym clothes today. What is the hero class? Eri asked as she followed Izuku and All Might to the site they would use. Class where we take lessons in every aspect of being a hero in the field. Izuku answered. Is little Eri going to be following you everywhere, Midoriya? I want to say yes for the most part. I didn't want to leave her at the dorms by herself. I thought that recovery girl found her mother. All Might was confused. Mother wasn't very motherly. So now Eri is my sidekick, Izuku said. All Might knew there was more to it than just not motherly. However, he wouldn't press the issue. Hey All Might, will you sponsor the Saints? Sponsor? The principal said something about us violating a rule of an unwatched organization in the school. Izuku-sensei us sponsoring us, and we need one more. All Might nodded. It is of no problem, Midoriya. Although correct me if I am wrong, you and 1A won't really like the supervision. We just do our thing. Yesterday on our day of recovery everyone trained, except for you getting into trouble. The pro hero pointed out. No one is going to let that go, are they? The Saint side. The class of Saints and All Might were standing in the now familiar test site 4 streets over from the Battle Trials building. This, my faithful students, is the site of Battle Trials 2. All Might waved to the massive library building. There was a library here. Izuku looked confused. I flew around this place multiple times and never noticed. It was down the street from where you saved me, Hunter recalled. Izuku nodded. Now we make teams, All Might announced. Are we drawing lots again? Katsuki asked. Nope. Will the 5 MVPs of the previous battle trials come forward? All Might watched as Tsuyu, Mina, Denki, Yui, and Fumikage stepped forward. Alright, going from match 1's MVP down, you will all take turns picking people for your team. Try to think strategically. Not knowing exactly what the rules are this time means you must have a well-rounded team. Tsuyu nodded and made the first choice. Yaoyorozu. The said girl smiled and stood in line with Tsuyu. I am hurt I wasn't picked first. Izuku faked some tears. Be the best then. Momo teased him. Ijiro, Mina said excitedly. Top 3 pick. Ijiro grinned. Don't worry, boss man. You will get picked eventually. Denki said. You could pick me. Izuku said. Sorry man, but I call Monoma. Unexpected to get picked this early. Nito returned the fist bump Denki wanted. Nah dude, you can copy quirks and got monster strength. Denki smacked Nito's back. Careful where you hit. Nito winced. Right, sorry man. Forgot a shark tried to eat you. Denki immediately apologized. My heart. Izuku wiped a non-existent tear. Katsuki. Yui stated her pick. Suck it, glowstick. Katsuki laughed. Pick before you. Katsuki stood next to Yui, unaware of her blush. I'll be picked next and shove it up your ass. Izuku flipped Katsuki off. I apologize, Midoriya, but I pick Aoyama. Fumikage said. Well, I really need to stop talking, Izuku said, while Eri patted his side to comfort him, not realizing he was joking. The darkness naturally chooses the star. Aoyama posed as he stood next to the Birdman. I pick the boss. Tsuyu croaked her next pick. Whoop, Izuku shouted as he got next to the Frog and Creation girls. Why are you extra weird today? Momo asked. I dunno. Sports festival tests. Fought the big 3 and did better than everyone thought I would. Got to see my Saints show their loyalty. Pretty big day. Izuku shrugged. Anyways, I pick Minoru, Mina shouted excitedly. How the small boy wasn't expecting to get picked this early. Come on man, Ijiro said. We both think you would be awesome. Think about it. Mina makes the plans, an agile one. I can be a tank, and you can set traps. Minoru smiled. We got this. Team 2 had officially became the hype team. All 3 just revving each other up. We want Kirby. Denki grinned. Yachako grinned. Yui looked at Mezu, who nodded. That was the quietest exchange. Hanta remarked. Shoto, Fumikage said, watching. As the half-fire, half-ice boy nodded. Who should our last pick be? Tsuyu asked as the 3 people of Team 1 looked at the final 5 students of Tenya, Mashurao, Kyoka, Toru, and Hanta. Let me pick, Izuku said as he got an idea. Tsuyu thought about it before saying her next words. I know who you want and I agree. Call it. Izuku grinned. Ribbit. We want Hagakure. The invisible girl was confused. She didn't know why the powerful team of 3 of the best strategists wanted her. She wasn't really as good as the other picks. Come on, Hagakure. You got the perfect skill set for this team, Momo said, with Izuku's normal level of noise-making and fighting. Next to my ability to make anything, you can fly under the radar. Right? Toru got excited as she joined them. I wanted Toru. Mina pouted. Rats, we want Ijiro then? Mashurao nodded. I'm music girl, Denki said to Kyoka. We need your tunes. Kyoka looked embarrassed. Can it? She said as she stepped next to Nito. You can pick this one, Yui said to Katsuki. Elbows, Katsuki said immediately. Hanta did finger guns as he joined his team. Tenya realized he was the final student and deflated. I'm last. This is great for us, Fumikage said as he put a hand on Tenya's shoulder. You bring speed to our team. Tenya nodded, not even bothered by being last if his team actually wanted him. You all have excellent teams. All Might nodded, before sticking up one finger. Before we choose the matches, I have one question. Which team does everyone believe is the best? Who cares? Teamwork makes the dream work, Katsuki said. You are the last one I would expect to say that, Hanta said. You, Katsuki said in a normal voice, not shouting because he was next to Yui. Well, based off of synergy and strategy skills alone. It is Team 1, Ijiro said. Su is able to flow with everyone. Yaoyorozu is smart, Izuku is Izuku, and Toru can work with anyone just as well. Strategy-wise, they all are smart, and if we add quirks, their team is even more monstrous in skill. Izuku is Izuku, Izuku repeated with a raised eyebrow. What is that supposed to mean? You're something else. Momo answered. You're something else. Izuku said back. You're something stupid. Momo shot back. You're something. Izuku got cut off. Quit flirting, not during the discussion. Toru shouted from behind them. What about our team? No one is saying us. Mina looked offended. We have a trapper, 2 close combats, and a close or mid-range fighter. Mashirao said. We all can work well together in this class, but strategically speaking our team isn't as versatile like them. Denki's team or Yui's team has equal amounts of variety, each having a sensor, aggressive combat, someone who can trap you with their quirk, and such. What about Bird's team? Katsuki mentioned. Speediest in class, shiniest in class, coldest in class, and darkest in class. That was definitely a description. Denki chuckled. Thank you for calling me shiny. Aoyama ignored the part about being called a. Takoyami picked crowd control with Todoroki, and long range with Aoyama, Tenya giving the team speed. In honesty, I picked Aoyama and Todoroki because their quirks are bright enough to hinder Dark Shadow's rage if my dust isn't enough. I think it is still Isui's team that is strongest, Tenya said with a chopping motion. It's Tsuyu corrected. Interesting debate. No one really wanting to claim their own as the best. All Might said. Which team as a class do you think is best? Team 1. Yui answered while others nodded. Is everyone in agreement? All Might watched them nod. Then Team 1 is hereby disbanded. What? Tsuyu asked. Not liking that she just lost her team. Sometimes teams fall apart. All Might started. While this doesn't apply to you kids, hopefully it does happen in life. Teams will hit rough patches or just slip apart. Or the more frequent situation, planning a big mission but schedules don't line up or members get busy with other work. You 4 are being moved to the other teams. By being picked again? Izuku asked. Originally yes, but I find it more humorous if little Eri gets to participate. All Might chuckled. Hairi was confused. How do I pick? Sort them however you feel like. All Might said. But each team must get one. Izuku looked at his crew. No one put pressure on her. Eri looked at the 4 and thought, before walking up to Toru and pointing at Ijiro. That team. Yamina and Toru cheered at the choice. Eri turned to Tsuyu. Are you actually a frog? Eri asked. Ribbit, was Tsuyu's response. Eri grabbed Tsuyu's hand and walked her over to Yui's team. You're here. Welcome to Team 4, Yui said to the frog girl. Or Team 3 since Team 1 died. Hanta said. We didn't die. Momo said. We came back after none of you came to our funeral. Izuku added. Eri looked at Izuku and Momo, thinking how she would like it if they were both on the same team. We're in no rush, Eri. Izuku said. I got all day to stand here and look cool. When do you start? Momo smirked. Izuku looked at her. I will have you know I have always been cool. You tried to drink a juice box from the bottom. Momo deadpanned. And I looked cool doing it. Izuku grinned. You are such a dork. A cool dork. Both of you quit flirting so Eri can decide. Kyoka said. Eri kinda liked how they talked to each other, disappointed that it was over. Eri grabbed Momo's hand and led her to Denki's team. Hey, we got the smart one. Denki clapped. That was rude. Izuku let himself be led by Eri to Fumicage's team. Dude, you tried to drink a juice box from the bottom. Denki said. I haven't seen Yaoyorozu do that, so you can see the choice there. Anyways, I want every team to separate. All Might said. Only I will be watching the battles today as they happen because I want to do something interesting. Once again, there is one team in defense and on entering the building. But I have bigger rules. No destroying large parts of the building. Sure, you can make a person-sized hole once or twice, but not excessively. I have removed the time limit for the action phase. The match goes until one team has been successfully and completely captured or the goal has been met. Also this time, if she is willing to participate more, this can be a hostage situation. Wait, you mean Eri? Izuku asked. Indeed, but only if she is willing. And everyone is careful. Whichever team is on defense gets 10 minutes in the library building before the offensive team is allowed in. From any direction, as I will allow them to walk around outside but not enter. This can teach you how to scope out a place before you enter. For all you know, a villain might make their place in a room with windows, giving you a clear shot at them. If a scratch happens to the hostage from either team, you fail. Villains shouldn't harm the innocents because in a hostage situation the safety of the hostage is the only thing buying them time. And the heroes shouldn't harm those they are rescuing. Nice. So do you want an Eri? This could be hero practice. Izuku asked the little girl. Eri nodded. What do I do? Pretty much just sit there and chill. If the villains aren't jerks, make small talk. Kyoka said. Wait, so we don't know if we are on offense or defense, or which team we are up against? Momo asked. You will know the first, but only your team should know you're standing until your round goes. Each team not in the round will be secluded in separate buildings waiting. by planning and the such. Suspenseful, Denki said. I am pumped. Why is it being kept secret? Ochako wondered. In some situations you might get into, you won't actually know what you are up against. Even though you might be able to guess from experience, you can never be sure. With this, you know the other teams, but you don't know which one is the one against you. So you have to be ready for anything. Kinda like the boss fighting that one guy yesterday. What did he even do? Hanta asked. As far as I can tell, exactly, he can manipulate stuff by touching it, including living people. He rearranged a roof to block one of my blasts. Wait, how do you know he affects living things? Momo asked. Izuku didn't want to bring up how he had everything and is twisted around, causing him to die or whatever for a few minutes. Lucky guess. We are talking about this later. Momo looked mad. Momo, nothing bad happened. Izuku lied, and everyone knew that. Momo didn't respond and looked madder about the blatant lie. I shall be in a viewing room right there. All Might steered the conversation back to their class, pointing to the small red building right behind him. And I will separate the teams to their own respective waiting areas until they are in the match. How will you pick the matches, Tsuyu asked. By flipping a coin. All Might let out a chuckle. Really, Nito respected his mentor and previous holder of one for all, but his decision-making skills were sometimes odd. Indeed, All Might pulled out a quarter. First, let me take you to your buildings. Little Eri, stick with me. But Eri tried to protest. I will be fine, Izuku said. Can't get strong if my hero is always watching me. Take care of All Might. Eri nodded. All right, so follow me, students. All Might led everyone to their buildings. Little Eri, call heads or tails. All Might flipped a coin. I don't know how to call. Eri realized she also didn't know how to do other things with a phone. You can just say heads or tails. All Might caught the coin. Heads or tails. Eri smiled. All Might chuckled. Just one of the two will work. Oh, tails, Eri said. That makes Team Ashido an offensive team. All Might flipped the coin again. You can call it this time, Melissa. Heads, Melissa called it. I don't understand how this method works. Neither do I. All Might laughed. If Eri calls it correctly, that team is offensive. If you call it correctly, they are match one. Did I call it correctly? Melissa asked. You did, the pro hero answered. So now we flip for Team Kaminari. Tails, Eri said before he even flipped it. Eager. Alright, this is correct, so they are offensive. That means the last two teams are automatically defensive. Alright, Melissa, call it for whether Team Kodai is match 1 or 2. Tails, Melissa called it. Alright, looks like match 1 is Team Ashido on offense against Team Yui on defense. Eri, come with me to fetch your defenders for this match. Melissa, I believe you know where the viewing room is. I'll be there. See you, Uncle. All Might. Melissa went off to the red building. What do I do? Eri followed All Might. In this match, you would just sit in an area, and the team on defense must guard you from offense, while the offensive team must retrieve you from the building safely. Will Izu be saving me? Eri asked. Young Midoriya is on defense. He will be protecting you. Eri smiled at that. All Might walked into the office area he left Team Yui at. You kids are up, he announced. We're up already. Katsuki grinned as he jumped off of a cabinet. Hell yeah. Right off the bat, Hanta pumped his fist. The other three followed quietly. This room looks good enough, Hanta said as they stepped into an office in the first level of the basement. Ribbit, no one can get us from below or from windows. Sue added. This will work then, Yui announced. Do I just sit? Eri asked. Sure. Hanta pointed to the main desk's chair. You can even be the boss of the library. So what is our plan here? Katsuki said. We don't know which S are coming, but the heaviest hitters from each team are obvious. We should plan around that. If it is Team Ashido, then all we gotta do is mostly worry about Kirishima. Mezu said. From what I hear, his bull rush is quite a heavy hit. Penki also is dangerous with acid and reflective discs. Gum is made for defense, so on offense he won't peak as good. Tail is probably the best at formal fighting. Katsuki said his observations. Hagakure could sneak in and just walk out with Eri. Hanta said. We would notice the floating 6-year-old. Tsu said. I can stay guard. Mezu said. My senses will allow me to notice quicker if anyone comes. That is acceptable. Yui nodded. She looked at Katsuki. I believe you will roam for a fight. Katsuki shook his head. As much as I want to, it's your call, princess. You're running the show. Yui hid her smile. Start farthest up with your roaming for conflict. Make them think you are an aggressive guard up there. He is aggressive, Hanta remarked. Shut up, Katsuki snapped. I can stay close by, but on the first floor. Most of the books and shelves create a maze I can hop around on. I can swing around the giant open area at the front and just wait for any that enter the front door. Hanta said. I will work with Shaoji here. Yui said. Everyone have their roles. Yeah, Katsuki nodded. Go team, Hanta said as he began to leave. This will be interesting, Mezu stated as he began to meditate on the desk that had the chair Eri was spinning in. Alright team, what are we gonna do? Mina shouted. Kick-ass, Ijiro yelled. And chew bubblegum, Minoru yelled. We don't have gum right now, Mashurao stated. So we kick-ass, Toru shouted. I'm going to check windows from over there. Mashurao pointed to the north side of the building. Alright, I will check from the south, Ijiro ran off. We can't enter the building, right? Minoru asked. No, why? Mina asked. The purple midget grinned. I'm climbing it. I don't think you can, Toru said. Not entering, Minoru pointed out. So what is our game of the plan? Denki asked his team. Either way, we should send the person with the least destructive quirk to either defend or be the main person to get her. That's Momo, Kyoka said as she looked to her friend, who still looked mad about earlier with Izuku. Are you okay? Yaoyorozu Ochako asked as she noticed Momo still looked mad. I'm fine. Just going to yell at Izuku again next time I see him. Wait, did he not mention that his was all torn up inside or something to you? Denki asked, not noticing Nito's signal for him to shut up. What? Momo asked with an irritated tone. Wait, Izuku didn't tell you? Ochako asked. All I know was he got hurt by that guy and Eri used her quirk to heal him. Momo really wanted to yell at Izuku. What exactly happened? That guy used his quirk on Izuku to make his not of proper organs or whatever. Izuku said it felt like he actually died. Denki answered, not wanting Momo's wrath, as she was actually the scariest one in the class to him. Momo took a breath. You're going to scream at him, aren't you? Kyoka knew the answer. Yes, Momo said flatly. Okay, let's make our actual plans for our match. Nito tried to steer the conversation back from the current topic. Well, I guess by now it is official that we are going in the second match. Tenya checked the time to the conference room they were in. Damn, I'm already bored. Izuku leaned back in his seat. If on defense, which of us should be watching Eri if not all? Fumikage asked. My attacks do better with more room, and my fire isn't up to a good enough standard for that, Shoto said. I can stay close, but actual guarding wouldn't be wise for me. Nor would it be wise for me either, Fumikage said. Dark Shadow has better control, but I will not risk it around a child. Shit, me and Aoyama can do it. Izuku sat forward, twinkling buddies. Aoyama nodded. We will be the best duo of defense. With my speed I can be a response to any situations that arise. I can roam until properly needed. And with the comms we are given, that is good. Fumikage nodded. How about offense? Cut the power again, Izuku asked. That leaves 2/3 of our team at a disadvantage, Shoto said. So just like the first battle trials. Izuku shrugged. I say we don't. Oh, I have a good offensive idea, Tenya said. Action phase about to start, All Might announced. Good, I am bored. Katsuki stood up, noticing a moving shadow across a window. What the? Start, Ijiro heard as he grinned and activated his first bull rush. Showtime. Ijiro crashed through the wall in a charge, everything breaking away and making a new door for him. Geez, that was huge, Mina remarked as she followed Ijiro in, who was on one knee taking a breath. You fine? Mina put a hand on the bandaged red head. Ijiro felt his energy kick back in and stood up. Never better. Minoru dropped through the window, landing quietly in an open hallway that looked over the floor below. I'm in, Minoru said into his comms. Going to search the top floor. Nito, Tori replied. I am checking the 3rd floor. Hey Gumhead, check your surroundings. Minoru cursed his luck when he heard the most aggressive person in the Saints speak. Minoru turned to see Katsuki grinning like a madman. Perhaps we can talk about this, the smaller boy asked. No, Katsuki said flatly. Mina smacked her head against a wall when she realized a major mistake they made. Guys, we didn't from a plan of extraction, Mina said into her comm. Anything from me will have gone out the window anyways. Minoru spoke. Bakugo just tied me to a door upside down. Minta has been captured, All Might announced over the speakers. Rats, that was fast. He wasn't expecting a flashbang, Katsuki said over Team Mina's comms. Hey, give that back to Minta. First off, in the words of the boss, suck my ass, and secondly, I was just borrowing it to say I saw you, Tails. I watched you enter through the north entrance, and I am coming. Everyone heard a scuffling sound as Katsuki gave Minoru his comm back. Hey guys, he gave me back my comm. Minoru said, I am just going to hang out here with the door. Sorry I was out so fast. Not much you could have done on short notice against Bakugo, Mina said. Kodai spun Eri's chair again, having a small smile as the little girl laughed at the motion. This is fun, Eri giggled. It is a nice distraction before conflict, Mezu commented. Hey, I captured Gum on the 4th floor, Katsuki announced over their comms. Saw Tails enter the 2nd floor on the north side. I'm close to there, I'll check it, Hanta informed them. I'll say something before I engage. He knows that I saw him, Katsuki added, so he is expecting a big entrance. Sneak on him using that. I can distract him from a side if possible. Ribbit, Kirishima and Ashido are on the 1st floor entering the basement. They didn't see me, but I am following them. We'll need someone to back me up. I will help. Yui got prepared to leave the room. Shaoji, what direction do you hear them in? Mezu listened for a second. They sound like they might be close, but coming from the right side of the door. Young Zero has been captured, All Might announced. Guys, this might sound stupid, but I got caught by Hagakure because she tripped me and tied me up with my tape before I could realize it happened. Well shit, Katsuki cursed. Yui stepped into the hall silently, hearing far-off chatter. Are you sure we are on the correct floor? Mina asked Ijiro. The basement is a smart place to go. No windows, way fewer entrances to it. I believe that they have Eri down here. Mina turned on her comm. Toru, Anjiro, help us check the basement. Kinda busy hiding from Bakugo on the 3rd floor. Toru whispered. He is like 10 meters away trying to find me. Hit him for a neck chop. Knock him straight out. I will try. Yui used a small mirror to check her corner, seeing no signs of Mina or Ijiro, who have stopped talking. I think Invisi is around here, Katsuki said into his comm. Invisitsu repeated. You know which one I mean. Katsuki replied. She can jump me and I don't want to risk her getting a sneak attack, so get up here, Frogger. 3rd floor west side, by the staircase. When did you think things through without charging? Tsu asked. Not my mission to ruin. I'm not in charge. Katsuki said back. Just get up here so she uses her stealth advantage. So you can go. Yui spoke into her comm quietly. I can handle Ashido and Kirishima until you two come back. Once I know Invisi is taken care of, I will be down to help you, Yui. Katsuki said. Yui couldn't help but smile before she heard a floorboard creak outside of the conference room she was cutting through. Kodai, if that not you who made the sound in the hallway, you have company from just one of them. I only heard one set of footsteps. Mezu reported. It's not me. I will make sure you all know who it is before I engage. Yui replied. Don't get into too much trouble. Katsuki said. No, that's your territory. Yui responded. Look at you with some comebacks. Katsuki let out a laugh. Katsuki, I see you from over the banister. I think I see Hagakure behind you. If that rug flattening slightly was a tell. Just tell me when she gets close enough that I can turn the tables. Yui peeked into the hallway and instead of Mina or Kirishima she saw Mashiro, who was facing away from her, luckily far enough away that she can still whisper into her comms. It's Ajiro near me. Looks like they all might know about us in the basement. That just means Invisi might have gotten the info from elbows. Or they guessed my destructive behavior was put as far away as possible from the squirt. Katsuki guessed. It makes sense. You are kinda destructive and the goal is to not harm Eri. Suyu added. I wouldn't have harmed her. Katsuki said. No chances are taken. Suyu said. I'm going to engage Ajiro. Yui cut in. Are you sure your form still needs a little work before you can fight someone like him in combat? Katsuki actually sounded slightly concerned. It won't be direct. I will try to box him in with the same trick I used against you. Yui moved into the hallway and held a small sheet of metal from her utility belt. The hallway he is going down, if my sound is of any indication, ends and he will have to turn around or go through offices, Mezu reported, using his powered-up senses to replicate echolocation somewhat. That works, thank you, Shaoji. Yui slid up to the corner that Mashiro had just walked around, before his tail almost direction hit her. Yui barely dodging it. Hi, Kodai. Mashiro got into his fighting stance, having one hand to his comms so his team heard him. You're not one for more roaming, so Eri must be down here. It could be a ruse. Yui got into the form Katsuki had been teaching her. Bakugo now. Su announced that Katsuki could turn and attack Toru. Either way, my team is coming to check. Mashiro looked confused as he listened to his team on his comms. Invisi is down, Katsuki said. What did you call me? Yui could hear Toru yell from Katsuki's comm and Mashiro's. You heard me, Katsuki responded as he presumably tied her up. Young Hagakure has been captured, All Might announced. It's now 4-3, Yui said to Mashiro. I'll even the odds, Mashiro replied. I saw Katsuki teach you and I can counter it. Counter this. Yui repeated the same tactic she used during the first battle trial to Katsuki. Made the sheet metal grow so large he dug into the walls, ceiling and floor, creating a new wall between her and the tailed teen. I blocked Ajiro momentarily, but he should soon find his way back around. On our way down, Katsuki replied. Hurry up, Frogger. I'm one floor closer than you, Kiro. Suyu sounded annoyed. No, you're not, Katsuki said as the building shook slightly. I'm using my 2 or 3 destruction allowances to cut down. Another explosion sounded, closer this time. Don't waste your last one yet, Yui asked. You might need it down here. Kodai, I hear 2 footsteps around the corner from you. Mezu spoke. I believe Ashido and Kirishima know where you are. Yui pulled out a small metal piece, barely as long as her thumb and barely any width to it. Hi, Kodai, Mina said as they found her and had her cornered. Sup, Ijiro smiled. Give us Eri and we will be nice. Mina made a grin. Leave me alone or I will get my attack dog, Yui replied. You have an attack dog? Mina asked. Who is your attack dog? Katsuki asked over the comms. Language, Bakugo. Su spoke. Sorry, whom are you calling your attack dog? Is it Bakugo? Mina asked. Yui looked at where they were in the building and remembered that right above them is the crest of this fake library and Sayuri made into the floor of the entrance. If you are still on the first floor, do something by the entrance, Katsuki. It is Bakugo. Mina nodded. Well, yeah, who else on their team is prone to anger? Ijiro asked. Katsuki, closer to the door when you see it. Yui positioned her metal piece so that it pointed at the ceiling. When I see what? Katsuki looked confused. Without answering, Yui made the pole grew, making it go faster than usual. The pole jammed into the ground and ceiling at the same time, but Yui kept pushing its growth until she felt less resistance on the top part. "Oh, I see it," Katsuki responded. Down in a sec, the ceiling exploded with a hike that Katsuki dropped out of. Now in between Yui and Mina, Ijiro. "Now that's an entrance." Ijiro grinned. "I take burn notice and you take pinky." Katsuki looked back slightly at Yui, who had shrunk the pole to a reasonable length for a fighting staff, her best type of combat. "That works." Yui smiled. "Burn notice really?" Ijiro asked. "What happened to redhead or shitty hair? It fits you better." Katsuki got into his stance, hands crackling with mini explosions. "Like my foot about to go up your ass. I love the attitude. Let's do this." Ijiro rushed Katsuki. Mezu looked at the door as Mashurao walked in. "Hello, Ijiro," Mezu said with his calm active to let Tsuyu know the situation. "Hi, Shaoji. Shall we have a formal fight since we can't fight in here with Iri?" Mashurao indicated to the room that he entered from. "That is somewhat reasonable. Although what would I do if my hostage were to just walk away?" Mezu didn't want to act like he knew Iri was upside down in a chair and spinning it, ignoring them. "Take the risk, I guess." "Iri, I want you to stay here," Mezu said with only a little authority because he knew she wasn't listening. "You call that a bull rush, you dumbass?" Katsuki's voice came from the comms. "Left you wide open." "That works." Mashurao found the scene a little funny. "That's the risk." Ijiro heaved. "Young Kirishima has been captured," All Might announced. Mezu and Mashurao went into the next room, empty save for some shelves against a wall. "Are you ready?" Mashurao got into his stance. "Need help with the pinoi or do you have it?" Katsuki said over the comms. "Help." Yui grunted as a thump was heard. "Get over here, Pinky!" Katsuki shouted and let off explosions. "Indeed." Mezu nodded. "Young Ashido has been captured," All Might announced. "Except you are the last one against 4. Suffice to say, I think you should surrender," Mezu said to the tailed teen. Mashurao deflated. "Damn, I didn't get to do much." "Well, like the boss says, saints won't be stopped if we are still moving." Mashurao got back into his stance with renewed vigor. "Then let's have a good fight." Mezu used his duplication quirk to make multiple arms as he rushed in towards Mashurao. Mashurao cloaked himself in purple and went low, dodging the 10 arms that went for him, slamming a strike from his foot into the back of Mezu's knee and using his tail to throw himself up like a spring to uppercut Mezu's jaw. Mezu fell back a few steps. "Your strength has increased, it seems." "Mostly in my tail," Mashurao said as he spun through the air and spammed his tail down on Mezu's arms he raised in defense. Mezu winced as one of his duplicate arms was definitely broken. "Indeed, you can do a lot of damage." Mezu created more arms and used them to grab Mashurao as he came in for another strike. Too many arms being around for Mashurao to find an easy spot. "I have you now, can you call it?" "Well, since this is a simulation of a real situation and not the real situation, I guess I could fall," Mashurao reasoned while he was upside down, held by 7 arms. "I have detained Ijiro," Mezu announced. "Defensive team Yui wins," All Might announced. "Since you all were the first match, I suppose you all can come to the red building. No viewing the next match, however, to make this all fair." "Hey, let's in go!" Katsuki pumped his fist, grinning like a madman at their victory. Yui had a small smile, proud that her first time as a team leader was a success. "Good job, princess." Katsuki tapped her shoulder with his fist as he walked past to grab Ijiro, who was tied up on the ground. Yui felt a different emotion when Katsuki smiled at her and tapped her shoulder. "This sucked, I barely did anything." Minor rewind when they got to the waiting area, a classroom in the red building. "Dude, I got one tapped before I was aware of it." Hanta joined him. "Doesn't help that Kodai sent Katsuki after more than half of us." Mina had her head on the table, not really upset about losing as much as she should be. "It was a good tactic," Yui said as she checked her belt pouches to make sure everything was accounted for. 3 people and is violent, Toru said. "You all are just jealous she was smart." Katsuki was polishing one of his grenade gauntlets. "So you listen because she is smart, dude. We all are at UA. Everyone has intelligence here," Ijiro argued. "Ikachu is a prime example of you being wrong," Katsuki replied. "She made a plan at USJ that resulted in an Eng meteor getting shot like a cannon. I will gladly follow anyone who makes something that badass." Mina squinted when she saw a ghost of a facial expression on Yui's face, never seeing her blush or make emotions, most of the time making that one time stand out. Despite her urge to say something, Mina decided to just watch and see what happens this time around. "When do we get to go?" Izuku groaned as he took a card from the deck, having brought out his Deku to play with the others to pass the time. Fumikage coughed. "Hopefully soon. I am itching too. I apparently get build-up of the Loa dust and I need to release some once in a while. It would be bad to release any in here with us. Might throw our game off. I would not shine properly," Aoyama said. "And on defense our guard would be worse. It would help if we waited in a room with windows," Shoto said. "Wait, how long can you hold that stuff before you need to release it?" Izuku asked. "I can probably go 10 or 20 minutes, Fumikage said. So if we don't get to go really soon, you definitely gotta release some outside, Tenya said. A knock happened at the door before it got opened anyways, All Might looking confused about reopening it to run in. Izuku ran up to him excitedly. I played the hostage amazingly. You did? Who had you hostage? Izuku asked. Bunny Ears made me promise not to say, Eri said. He said it should be a surprise. Oh well, I guess I get to hear the surprise later. Wait, are we defenders? Izuku looked to All Might. Indeed, Eri was really excited when she found out Izu would be defending her. All Might grinned. Izuku picked up Eri and put her on his back as they all started to follow All Might to the library. I've had practice, so this should be a cakewalk. How basement levels are there? Shoto asked as they looked at the stairs down. According to this map, too. Tenya stood in front of a map. The lowest level having a generator room and several small archive room, as well as an older section of the library. UA really goes all out in making a fake city. That's the floor, Fumikage said as he went down the stairs. I will be on the first floor of the basement, patrolling between the two staircases down to the lowest floor. I can stay up on this floor, Shoto said as he stayed behind. Or the second floor. I can announce any persons I see enter and let us all know what team we are up against. I will stay in the first basement level, closest to us all, Tenya said. Let's chill in that older library section. You, too, Izuku said to Aoyama and Eri. I see a person, Ochako said as she looked through binoculars that Momo made. Who? Denki said through the comms, having decided to wait by the south side of the building. Didn't get much of a good look, but red hair for sure, Ochako said. So either Kirishima or Todoroki, Kyoka said from next to Ochako. Let me use my earphones to try and find some talking in there. I can confirm it is Todoroki, Nito said. He is patrolling the second floor, so they might be there. Could be throwing us off because they know we can be watching, Denki pointed out. Hold on, I hear talking. Kyoka focused harder. That place has a basement and I can't tell who, but 3 people, laughing or something. That could be whoever is watching Eri playing with her, Ochako guessed. So definitely the boss, since Eri adores him and I don't, he would say no to guarding her. Denki added. Should we go for Eri immediately or take out anyone patrolling first? Make the odds better for us, Nito asked. Because with his level of ice control and his red blast he easily can defend himself against one-on-one attacks. You can take his quirk if you get in close. I can shock him to give you that time. Freeze him with his own medicine, Denki offered. Does anyone else feel a slight vibration? Shoto asked. I do indeed. Either one of them is violating the rules or using a quirk to scan us, Tenya speculated. Oh shit, might be Kyoka, Izuku offered. It could be Bakugo's ability. We still haven't found out what it is, Tenya said. I doubt he would have a sensory ability, not his style, Aoyama said, being over the comm because he was in another room that had mirrors. The abilities aren't your choice. He has a pre-made power, but he doesn't know it as far as I know, Izuku said. I am going with the idea of gyro. I saw Kaminari outside, I believe, Shoto said. Oh, interesting. Izuku poked Eri's nose while talking. Team Denki. That means him, and boy, Kirby, Kyoka and Momo. She's pretty, Eri commented, which Izuku nodded to. Their team has dangerous combos. Gyro can use shockwaves of sound to paralyze a person, Shoto said. I think it would be wise of me to get down there with you guys. Correct me if I am wrong. But can't Mademoiselle Gyro detect us if we make sound? Aoyama said as he began to return to Izuku and Eri. Well shit, they know where we are for sure, Izuku cursed. And Yaoyorozu is upset with you, Midoriya, Fumikage said. Although I doubt she would react now, it is still a risk of her not playing nice with you. Yeah, I might be unwise of a choice to have around Eri. Izuku sighed. No, Eri shook her head. You're the best choice. Izuku smiled and ruffled Eri's hair. Yeah, but Momo is upset and might lash out. This is still speculation. For all we know and should expect Yaoyorozu will be mature about it. Tenya spoke. Better to be safe than sorry, Izuku replied. She did scream at him yesterday, Shoto added. That was intense, Fumikage recalled. You don't have to tell me, I was the one being yelled at. Izuku grinned when Eri poked his nose. The pretty lady Momo was scary when she was yelling, Eri added. Midoriya's eyes were so wide. Fumikage laughed. Stop embarrassing me. Izuku groaned over the comm. I'm trying to have a cool image. I thought they said you lost that when you tried to drink the juice box that was upside down. Hey, you missed the straw on yours, Izuku said to the little girl. I'm 6, Eri responded. She already has comebacks like you. Aoyama laughed. So are we gonna just make jokes at me and not prepare a new plan? Izuku changed the subject. We should all stay on the same floor, close enough to help each other if needed. Any combination of them could be disastrous, especially Kirby. One touch and we are screwed. Not necessarily, Shoto said. We all have ways to propel ourselves through the air, so it's not an immediate elimination. True, it will be a disadvantage, however. Most of their team have ways of stunning us, aside from Monoma, but he can copy everyone else's quirks, so it's moot. Worst two to fight are Momo and Enboy, Izuku said. I can fight whichever one of them that shows up first. I will provide backup if able, Tenya said. How long until our prep phase is over? Shoto asked. Not long. Aoyama checked a clock. Barely 30 seconds. Well, I am on the first level of the basement now. Shoto let everyone know. As am I and Ada, we are both in the North Hall. Fumikage added. Ready to hit it? Pikachu Ochako asked. You know it, Kirby. Denki confirmed. Time to return the favor, Izuku. Momo added. Action phase has now started. All Might announced. Alright, let's do thigh. Izuku was pumped until the lights went out. She didn't just copy my move. She did. Fumikage said. Only two of us can see in the dark. Dark Shadow appeared for the first time in a day. Hey, I finished it. Dark Shadow held a yellow of swirling energy, similar to his own shadowy eye. Fumikage took the glass-like object gently. What does this do exactly? Fumikage asked. I took lessons seeing the Descendants Red one. Should be like his in every way but color. Fumikage nodded. Can I turn it on and off? Permanently turned on. However, I already have a solution for when you don't need it. Dark Shadow took the dark purple eye patch that Fumikage was wearing, revealing his destroyed eye and scarred area. Infuse this eye patch with my shadow and such. Makes the eye see only darkness, so it is off technically. Quickly do the swap, please. Team Kaminari could arrive quickly. Fumikage asked. This could be an advantageous tool. On it. Wait, are you getting your own demon sight ability? Izuku asked. It appears so. Fumikage felt a buzz as Dark Shadow began infusing the demonic eye into his skull. Nice. Izuku whistled. It will definitely change the outcome slightly. Shoto added. If they detect us from sound with gyro, I think it would be best to stay silent unless something is absolutely necessary to say. Tenya said. I moved with Iri farther away from the stairs, currently in what looks like a copier room at the opposite end from the closest stairs. Aoyama spoke. Guys, I'm going dark mode. Try to not attack me in the halls. Izuku asked. Dark mode is what you call that thing you did today during that test, correct, where you turned off your powers except the eye? Fumikage wanted to make sure. Yeah. Barely more than a whisper they heard Shoto speak into his comm. They are here. Momo dropped silently down the hole she had carefully made to land on the first basement floor, adjusting her night vision goggles before continuing. Okay, the three we guess have Iri are now split up. One of them entered the hallway. If you continue your path, Momo, you might run into that person or you can ignore them. Kyoka reported. I am going in from the north side and the closest staircase down to the second basement level. Nito whispered into his comm. Please don't hurt your too much. Kyoka added. Yeah man, be careful with it. Earphones will beat my ass if you overdo it. I promise I will be fine. If I get cornered, I will use good judgment. Momo finished cutting her hatch that dropped into the second basement level, having found a perfect spot that won't have light follow her. Don't use her Izuku judgment. Ochako said. That would make it worse. I don't want to make it worse, I want to have it heal. Nito said. I'm on the first basement level and I think I just saw Todoroki. Denki said, requesting backup near the southern staircase. Over there in a sec. Nito said. If you know which path he took, maybe we can box him in. Momo carefully peered into the hallway and saw exactly who she was mad at in that current moment. I found Izuku. I can follow for backup. Ochako offered. Momo gave no response, opting to go after Izuku. Hang on, Ochako. I am going to guide you to her. Kyoka worried that her best friend might do something dumb to ruin the match. I have a bad feeling, like I am being watched and followed. Shoto said into his comm and felt the hairs on his neck stand up before he smelled ozone. Reacting as fast as he could, he made a wall of ice behind him, blocking a majority of the electricity that was shot at him. Shoto winced from the amount that did hit him. That full amount would have definitely been enough to paralyze him long enough to be captured. I have Kaminari here, same floor as you but south side. Coming to you ASAP, Tenya said. My energy blades are enough light to help me see. Hi Todoroki, Denki shouted from the other side of the ice. What's cooking? The power is off, so nothing. Shoto replied, forming a plan of defense. He wouldn't be overly arrogant this time around. Well dang, I wanted Salisbury steak. Denki's voice seemed to go away from him. Shoto wanted to question it before he got zapped from behind. What Shoto was brought to his knees by the shock. Nito was standing there, having copied Denki's quirk. Good plan, Denki. It worked, I mean of course it did. Denki clapped as he climbed over the ice. Shoto shot a dome of ice over himself to stall for time. Nito, can you break this? The electric boy kicked the ice. Denki, get away from it. Nito moved away. Shoto broke his ice dome, standing back up and having his white glow surrounding him. That was a good plan, I must admit. Shoto's left half covered itself in a small layer of fire, however I have the advantage. We thought you weren't arrogant anymore. Denki looked confused. That's why I'm here. Tenya slid to a stop, his energy blades out and illuminating a large portion of the hallway. Well, lightsabers, Nito remarked. Not lightsabers, energy blades, Tenya corrected. Won't those cut them? Shoto really didn't want any saints dismembered. I actually learned with Minda how to craft them into something blunt. No sharpness, just a really hot yellow bar of energy. Tenya explained. Like butter. Denki grinned. Tenya looked irritated. Let's take out him first. really got under your skin?" Nito asked. "Shoto," Tenya said the ice and fire teen's name. Shoto made ice flow out of his leg and straight at Nito, covering him in ice to his mid-thighs. "You're up, Ida." Tenya flashed towards Denki. Going so fast he moved around the shot of electricity Denki sent out. Tenya was led Denki over the head with an energy blade. "Oh, that thing is hot." Denki rubbed his head as he dodged a kick from Tenya, who wasn't relenting his assault. Shoto looked at Nito. "Your is still not fully healed, correct?" Nito felt useless when he realized he couldn't really do anything else because of his. "BGMI is still bad. I don't want to make it worse, so please don't fight." Nito knew that Kyoka could hear them and would lose her shit yelling at him if he did anything to damage his. "Just this once, I guess. However, we should both have an official fight once Mai is back up to standards." Shoto nodded. "I can do that. Young Monoma has surrendered," All Might announced. Fumikage coughed as he decided it was now or never to release his built-up Loa dust. His demonic eye transplant being a success as he could now see in the darkness and with his new pure yellow and smoky eye, everything being shades of yellow through it. "Everyone be careful near the west wing of the basement. I have to release Loa dust." Fumikage warned the others as he stuck his arms into a slightly open door to an office and began to spray the smoke from his arms, breathing in a little bit of it. "Oh, that feels so much better." Fumikage took a clean breath, his body no longer being clogged with the smoke. "I really need to set a schedule to release that." A rock smacked into Fumikage's head and he spun to see what caused it, seeing Ochako wearing night vision goggles and surrounded by a purple glow. "Hello, Uraraka." Fumikage stopped pouring smoke out and faced her. Dark shadow not out due to the effects of the smoke being too much for him, as well as using all of his energy to give Fumikage his new eye. "Hey Takoyami." Ochako made more small objects float. "Can I assume that you can shoot objects with the added powers?" Ochako grinned. "I actually can. Not just making things float anymore. This makes it more interesting." Fumikage dodged a marble that was shot at him. "How many can you shoot at a time?" "Haven't really tried more than 2. It gets hard to make them all go to the same spot. Perhaps after this I can help you with it." Fumikage sprayed some Loa dust, just enough to cause light hallucinations. Ochako covered her mouth and nose, taking a step away, knowing his Loa dust is not really something she wanted to breathe in. Taking a breath of clean air, she shot another marble at Fumikage, nailing his shoulder. Fumikage winced. "They definitely can hurt." Ochako grinned before she rushed Fumikage, barely missing an attempt at touching his arm to remove his gravity. "Dang, I missed. You have definitely gotten faster." Fumikage dropped low and sprayed more Loa dust. This time both of them inhaled a decent amount of it. "This feels weird." Ochako tried to grab what she thought was Fumikage but was empty air. "It takes some getting." Fumikage cut himself off as he was losing his ability to focus. Ochako giggled, the fuzzy feeling being nice. As everything going slower, she decided to send out all her floating objects in the chance of hitting Fumikage. Fumikage felt 2 objects smack into him and made a wincing sound, which made Ochako know where he was for sure, and she finally got his arm. Fumikage floated up to the ceiling with his back against it and sighed. If Dark Shadow hadn't given him the eye and used all of his energy to do it, Fumikage could still be in the running, even if he really wasn't mentally there. "Young Takoyami has been captured," All Might announced. "It is bad, but my team can pull through," Fumikage said from the ceiling. Ochako fell down against the ground, not able to really think clear enough to be much of a help. "How long until this ends?" Maybe a few minutes," Fumikage said to the girl opposite of him on the floor. "That's nice." Ochako thought Fumikage's yellow eye was pretty. "Young Kaminari has been captured." Kyoka cursed her luck as it seemed like it was just her. Ochako was under the influence of the Loa dust and Momo's mic had cut out minutes ago, so she wasn't exactly sure what happened to Momo. "Both Midoriya and Yaoyorozu have surrendered the match," All Might said, sounded a little off. Kyoka didn't know what happened, but now she needed to get to Iri to pull a clutch move. Minutes earlier, Izuku focused all of his energy into turning off everything but his red eye, making himself blend in with the darkness. "Hey Aoyama dude, try to get somewhere with one way in and out, keeping your laser there at the door," Izuku offered. "Already on that, monsieur," Aoyama said. Little Mademoiselle Iri found a chair that spins and is having a blast. Izuku smiled at the thought of Iri having fun. "Alright, keep me posted, my dude." Mademoiselle Iri says she misses Izu. Aoyama said, "This will be over soon. Tell her after class it's her choice what we do." Izuku walked around a corner and immediately got hit with a beam-tongue shoulder. Izuku fell back a step and decided to turn his powers back on, illuminating the hallway more. "Hi Momo," Izuku said with a smile. Momo still looked upset and shot another beam at him, which Izuku knocked away with a green blast. "What no witty banter?" Izuku asked as another beam got shot and it nailed his shoulder again. Izuku let out a burst of electricity to get her farther away from him, not noticing he fried both of their calm. "Oh, what's your problem?" "What's my problem?" Momo repeated. "It's you." Is this about that Chisaki guy? Izuku asked. Of course it is. I was worried sick about you, and then it turns out you were lying. Momo created a staff and began an intense assault of attacks that Izuku was barely dodging. I'm sorry, I didn't want you to worry as much, Izuku said as she hit his gut and then pushed him against the wall, using the staff to keep his arms down. Izuku could definitely make an escape from that pin, but his gut feeling was telling him to just let Momo yell at him. How can I not worry about you, dumbass? Momo was starting to tear up. You lost your wings, a finger, have physical scars covering your face, and a scar where you got stabbed in your. You almost died 3 times in the past 4 days. How can I not worry? I'm okay now, Izuku tried to say. But how long will you stay okay before you jump onto another life-threatening situation? You will eventually run out of luck, and it scares me that you don't think about the rest of us when you get yourself into all these problems. Do you know how I felt seeing you almost die the first time? It was even worse when I saw you in that lab. How do you think I felt seeing you when I thought you were dead? I literally snapped and became a demon to harm and kill the Namu. I keep getting into these problems because I don't want people to suffer. At USJ, I thought I could help All Might by us dealing with the Namu. I was wrong, but luckily we are here. With Eri, there was no way I could let that Chisaki asshole keep using her for whatever reason he had. I'm sorry if I worry you getting into these problems, but I can't just stay still and let anyone have any problems when I spent so long wishing someone in would help me with mine. Izuku didn't realize how close he was getting to his past. Momo didn't speak for a second. One of these days you are going to end up needing rescued if you keep trying to help everyone. Which is good that I have you then, Izuku responded. I'm going to keep trying to help everyone until I drop, and hopefully my luck hasn't run out and you are there to pick me up. Momo hugged Izuku hard. You need to shut up sometimes. Izuku heard her sob. Izuku returned the hug. Are you still mad? It's hard to be when you talk, Momo whispered. How can I make it up still? Izuku whispered back. Just be more careful. I'm kind of an idiot who can't drink juice correctly. Can you just watch me instead? Izuku heard Momo snort with some laughter at that. Sure. Do you feel like finishing this trial? Izuku asked. Because us hugging and whispering kinda would have to stop for that. Momo shook her head. This is how you can start making it up to me. Okay, Izuku nodded. A few seconds of silence passed before All Might spoke over the speakers of the building. Both Midoriya and Yaoyorozu have surrendered the match. Do you even care that you might get a bad grade for this? Izuku asked her. No, it's worth it. Izuku couldn't help but agree. Come on, Kirby. Kyoka grunted as she dragged the girl to her feet. Avery is tilting, Ochako said. That's because of Bird Boy. Kyoka looked at Fumikage, who was still against the ceiling. Come on, you haven't been counted as eliminated and it's us against 3. Ochako couldn't think of who was on the other team even though she knew that she knew them earlier. Ida, Todoroki and Aoyama. Our odds aren't good, but let's at least try something. What about Takoyami? You eliminated him when you took his gravity. Takoyami is nice. Okay, let's talk about something else on the way to Eri. Kyoka was relieved when Ochako was walking on her own. Like what? Ochako shook her head to clear it up. Like how we plan to deal with Ida and Todoroki and Aoyama. I think someone has a crush on Todoroki, Ochako said. Kyoka raised an eyebrow. Not what I meant, but do you? No, not me, someone in our class, Ochako said. She wanted me to ask Izuku about if dating in the Saints was allowed. Kyoka felt both of her eyebrows raise. Really, who? It's Before she could say it, someone else spoke. Hello, Gyro and Uraraka. We must stop you. Tenya slid up to them and swept their legs. Whoa, I'm on the floor, Ochako said in confusion. Kyoka looked annoyed as she tried to pick herself up, seeing no way out with Shoto no doubt on the way and Tenya as close as he was. Her Beats blast was a no since Ochako was in the middle of them. Well, I guess it's over. The remaining members of Team Kaminari have surrendered. Defense wins, All Might announced. All Might looked at the teens in front of him, having all of them meet him. Today, class, I will just give notes I took about possible improvements instead of rights and wrongs and naming MVPs. Those won't be named here. Young Ajiro and Mainta, I believe you both can benefit from more intense training. Ajiro, in your ability to deal with multiple opponents, and Mainta, you are lacking on the offensive side. I will make notes and let Midoriya have them to give to you and the other Saints if he sees fit. No more negatives for the first match, except I believe everyone, all of you, could do more training to deal with loss of senses, mostly sight and hearing. Match 2. Takoyami, I know you already have made note of it, but your new ability can get dangerous if not checked regularly. Try to check it more often and whenever possible. And my final note is for you too. All Might looked at Izuku and Momo, who were side by side in the back of the group. Please sort issues outside of simulations or actual situations. It won't happen again. Momo nodded. Outside of situations for sure. Izuku also nodded. Little Eri, you did wonderful as a fake hostage. It was fun being a fake hostage, Eri said. I will make more notes on extra steps you can all take in improvements and give them to you either next class or if I find Midoriya between now and then. It was now after dinner time and Kyoka was looking around the table in thought, trying to figure out who it was that Ochako was talking about earlier. Achako shutting up about it once she gained proper awareness. What's on your mind? Kaio Nito asked. Just wait. Kaio Hanta looked at the two. Did you two finally admit your feelings? Everyone looked the two in question. Kyoka wanted to yell at them to shut up but decided to bite a bullet to help the mystery girl in class that liked Shoto. Where's Izuku? We wanted to ask him a question. Nito looked like he choked on the biscuit he was eating. Oh, Mina grinned. What's the question? Kyoka already knew she liked Nito and that he returned the feelings. So trying to do this would benefit them as well as the mystery girl. She looked at Nito hoping he would also be fine with this. Before she could say it, Nito said something. If dating is allowed in the Saints. He knew what the question must be and that look from Kyoka definitely confirmed it. Kyoka smiled, glad that he caught on. Mina gasped. Have I been focusing on the wrong two? Shut up about your damn young love shit, Katsuki groaned. Get a new gimmick. Don't speak to the descendant of Satan like that. Mina wasn't proud to be related to the devil, but using it to scare Katsuki was something she wanted to try. Don't use your heritage to scare me, Katsuki snapped. I'm on you next, Bakugo, so shush. Mina stick her tongue out at him. I don't like anyone so off. Katsuki flipped off the pink girl. Stop yelling, please, Yui said from next to him as she flipped the page in her book, hiding her frown well. Where is Midoriya now that it's being questioned? Tsuyu asked. Think he said he was going to give Eri a bath. Ijiro scratched the bandages over his bicep. Hey guys, what's up? Izuku came around the corner with Eri, whose hair was wrapped in a towel and she had on purple PJs. Hey, is dating allowed in the Saints? Hanta asked. It better be, Mina said, because the chemistry between some of the people here is too great to let waste. Izuku looked confused. I never banned that. Not when Nito obviously likes Kyoka. Why not use yourself as an example? Nito asked. You and Yaoyorozu clearly have something. Can't make it unmake rules because I want to do certain things. So you do want to date Yaoyorozu? Shoto asked. Everyone shut up, Izuku said. Shush, there is no rule banning that stuff, leave it at that. He didn't say no, Toru said to Mina. Kyoka cursed when she realized she forgot to check the other girls' faces to check for the reactions of who the mystery girl. An hour later, everyone was gathered around the TV area and couches for the most part. Hey, so boss, what was that earlier today? Your whole red eye and darkness thing was legit badassery, but dude, that was intimidating. Denki said. It was scary. Eri said. Sorry about that, Eri. Izuku gave her a side hug. Didn't mean to scare you. Is that all the red energy can do? Katsuki asked. Night vision is nice and all, but surely there could be more. I mean, some of the lines go to your ear. Maybe it's a senses thing. Try to do your eye thing but with your ear instead. Achako offered. I can't use my ear to see. Izuku joked. Achako tossed the rubber she had just caught from Ijiro at Izuku. You know what I meant. All right. Izuku tried to flow his energy to his ear, but felt something else in the back of his head, like another spot his energy could do something. Taking that spot instead, he felt a sing and suddenly felt 19 pings around him, feeling like it was coming from his classmate. Well, what the hell? Katsuki felt a tingling feeling. What just happened? Mashiro asked, having an odd feeling as well. Did I do that? Izuku asked. What was it? Momo asked. I felt you guys, like a pinging. Does that do more? Momo asked. Maybe it's built in walkie-talkies. Denki offered. Let me try saying something with it. Izuku thought of the words corn chips as he did the pulse again. Nothing feeling different from the first time. That feels more like just a ping. Almost like I know where you guys are. Mina said. It's weird. Maybe it's just a locator for our powers. Izuku mused. I can probably train it to make it be just pinging between me and one other. So you can yeah, Momo in Morse code? Mina asked. Why must you be like this? Momo asked. Because I like teasing you too. Mina stuck her tongue out. I can work on it later, I guess. Hell, if I can get it to the point of Morse code, we can all talk during class if we are bored. Momo whacked Izuku's arm. Don't use your powers just to screw around. That takes a lot of the fun out of it. Nito kicked a pebble in front of him, waiting for Kyoka to meet him outside like he asked. Hey Nito. Kyoka blushed as she came outside. Hey Kyo, we never really got to talk about what happened at USJ. Nito remembered hurting him. Oh, we haven't really. Kyoka got redder. Sorry, I have been avoiding the topic. No, it's fine. I was avoiding it sometimes too. So what do you want to say about it? Kyoka asked. It was nice. It was nice. Kyoka raised an eyebrow. That's all. No, Nito wanted to smack himself. Wasn't he supposed to be smart with his words? Listen, Kyoka, I really like. Kyoka cut him off with it to the lips. Nito tasting GS. Kyoka broke off and looked at him. I know. I do too. Nito said the most intelligent thing he could say at that moment. Ooh, did I, you stupid? Kyoka grinned. I didn't know I was that good. Nito shook himself to normal. Sorry, I just okay, you are good at that. Thanks, literally no practice, just natural talent. Kyoka grinned. Should we talk about what this means? Nito asked. How about we again and talk later? Kyoka gave him a sly look. That works. Izuku cursed as the piece smoked up. Damn it. A knock at his door made him drop his tools and go open the door. Seeing Momo holding a sleeping Eri, he smiled. Hey guys, Izuku smiled. Why were you cursing? Momo asked as Izuku took Yuri. My gun didn't survive USJ as well as we did, so I was trying to repair it. I think some of my parts are fried, Izuku explained as he carefully placed Yuri on his bed. Momo looked at the pieces, one still having light smoke. Do you know where to go to replace them? I was going to ask Izuku-sensei about it tomorrow. Didn't even know this was a problem until like 10 minutes ago. Will it be expensive to replace? Hopefully not. But if I do, I can get money from the wages Gramps made in hell. Izuku pointed to a burnt red and brown wallet with a faded pentagram that had the saint's symbol drawn over it. He actually gave you a wallet from hell. Momo held the hardened leather wallet, opening it to see a bunch of yen in it. I feel like that shouldn't be questioned if he gave me a cracked halo and demonic powers. Izuku yawned. Momo put down the wallet and sat next to Izuku. I'm sorry I freaked out earlier. That was fine. I should be more careful anyways. Izuku waves it off. I have a crew to run and her to watch over. Izuku rubbed the sleeping Yuri's shoulder. You should also live because of yourself. Momo said, I find it better to live for you guys. Izuku replied, I'm gonna hit the sack now. Momo pursed her lips, wanting to continue what they were saying but decided against it. See you tomorrow, Izuku. Good night. Izuku waved an arm before she closed the door. Aizawa shook his head. I don't think it would be wise to bring him here. Nezu sipped some tea. I believe it is for the best. What do you think, All Might? All Might, as well as Aizawa, both disagreed with the idea of Nezu's. I don't think it would be wise either. In the year I have known Midoriya, mention of him has never come up. It is abandonment issues. I believe it happened to Midoriya when he was 4 or 5. Early on, it has clearly shown an effect on his behavior. If he has a transformation based on anger, I want to remove anything that could trigger it. By digging up an issue that has happened over a decade ago, Aizawa said. As much as I agree that any risk of loss of control should be dealt with, we can't just. I already called him. He is going to be here tomorrow. Nezu said. Then why tell us in a way to see our opinion? To see how close you two are to Midoriya. If it is simple abandonment issues, then a father figure could help it smooth over. You don't expect it to go well? All Might asked. I think it might go well. In fact, he seemed excited to come. However, a reunion might cause a little distress, so I believe that someone should intermediate. All Might nodded, feeling a shiver like it wouldn't go well at all. Izuku opened his eyes to a familiar sight. The city in destruction. Except this time the city and sky wasn't on fire, it was just night. There were some fires and smoke, but nowhere near the level as before. Izuku feel over, clutching his as it flared in pain. The same spot that the Namu had stopped him with his own mole. The pain was intense. The saints are going to be wiped off of history. Izuku heard a deep voice all around him. He turned and saw a familiar sight a couple 100 meters away from him. A figure wrapped in golden light. However, this time there wasn't a person wrapped in shadows against them. This time the person had varying shades of green, red, blue, and yellow light. Izuku didn't feel warmth from this person like he did the golden figure, he only felt hate. Izuku suddenly felt an intense burning in his. Izuku jumped up covered in cold sweat, breathing heavily. Izuri looked frightened when she went to the bathroom and came back to Izuku freaking out. Izuku took a deep breath, realizing that it was a dream that felt all too real. Just a nightmare. Sorry. Yuri climbed on the bed. Was it the bad man? No, he is history. This was just me dreaming that burgers were taken away from the world. Burgers? Yuri asked, wondering if that was really his nightmare. Yep, they closed my favorite diner. It was horrible. Maybe we should go there today after class. Izuku offered. Yuri nodded. Okay, why is it your favorite? My grandpa took me there a lot. He was great. Your grandpa? Yep, he liked burgers and that stuff. Neat guy. Was your dad also good? Yuri asked the sensitive question. Izuku winced, not expecting that question. Yuri saw the wince and felt bad. Sorry, it's okay. It's just, my father was a real jerk. Izuku said what he thought was the understatement of the day. He was bad just like the bad man. Yuri nodded, before thinking how she and Izuku had bad fathers in the past. Dads are jerks. Izuku shook his head. Not all dads are bad, but ours definitely sucked. Can I get a new dad? Yuri asked. I'm older, so I get one first. Izuku joked. Will you be my dad? Yuri looked at him confused. I'm too young to be a dad. You are also lacking like 10 other qualifications, but sure, let's go with age first. Izuku laughed. Now get up and prepare for breakfast. Izuku came down the stairs and saw Shoto looking confused by the couches. Shoto, you cool man? Izuku asked as Yuri walked away to the tables to get her seat. Shoto looked up from his phone. My dad wants to know if I can come home after classes today, just for dinner. Just for dinner? Izuku asked. Is there anything else you aren't adding? He said he wanted to try to make amends with everyone, but said he didn't think he deserves to see my mom without me there. He said he was going to pull her from the hospital and let her come home. Shoto said. It wasn't that Shoto was against his father trying to right his wrongs, it was just that after so long being with a hateful father, he was still confused that his father was now seeking forgiveness. That's great. Izuku grinned. He is probably going to be awkward about it, but at least he is trying, man. Why so confused about it? Shoto looked at Izuku for a second before he spoke. It's weird after so long with a bad standing with him that everything is different. I think I might actually be able to talk to my siblings for the first time tonight if I go. You should go, man. Go to what? Tsuyu asked as she came down the stairs with Mina. My father wants me to go to dinner tonight. Shoto answered. Hey, you should do it. Mina said. Reunite the Todorokis. Tsuyu nodded along. Hey, heads, quiet down. Katsuki snapped from the kitchen. Hey, Dynamitery is down here, so no swearing, Izuku yelled. My ass, I know you swear in front of her. Katsuki retorted. I don't like that, you're right. Izuku frowned. I'm fixing that, and you better too. Yuri held up her hand. I know those words already. I blame Ishido. Izuku joked. The pink girl tried to whack his arm. Don't try to blame me, I barely used those words. What words? Denki slid down the stairs. Shit asshole $PSBY equals hash. Everyone stared at Denki. Why the hell would you say that with a 6-year-old right there? Katsuki threw a pan. Oh, I didn't see her. Denki dodged the pan. Izuku pinched his nose. Denki, dude, scan a room before you speak. I promise I won't do it again. Denki swore on his life. What does $PSBY equals hash mean? Eri asked. Izuku looked at Denki with a dirty look before looking back to Eri. It means nothing. Please don't use it ever. Eri nodded. Okay. Now it was actual breakfast time and everyone was at the table, Denki's slip being, thankfully for him, forgotten. Hey boss, do we have any plans of training for the day? Ijiro asked. Izuku shook his head. Nah, Shoto isn't going to be here tonight and I am taking Eri to a diner in town after class. Nito sighed, already knowing the answer before he spoke. Please tell me it's not that burger place that has no name. It does have a name. It is literally named after the guy who runs it, Pete's Burgers. And yes, good, because I had plans today as well. Ijiro grinned. You have plans that aren't training? Mina looked at Ijiro with an amused smile. What, finally got a date? Yes, Ijiro answered as he took a bite of his omelet. Mina looked surprised. Really, with who? If you must know, it's Ijiro. Stopped talking like something covered his mouth. A second later he looked irritated and shook his head. Wait, let it be a surprise for later. Everyone looked at Ijiro confused, who ignored the looks to continue eating, looking slightly confused as he did so. Mina narrowed her eyes. Okay, but I am watching you. Won't pull a fast one on me. Okay, Ijiro muttered. So today is a free day? Denki asked. Free day for you to wash your mouth, Katsuki said. I said I was sorry. What happened? Hanta looked confused. I said, no. Tsuyu, Izuku, Katsuki, and Mina all shouted. Denki looked scared by the sudden yelling. Oh dang, I almost said it again. I'm just going to not talk today. It's a miracle. Kyoka smirked. If today is a free day after class, I am going to visit my parents. Haven't seen them in a bit. Hanta said. I do miss my little siblings. Tsuyu agreed. My sister probably has been lonely recently. Nito added. He looked at Kyoka. Want to join me visiting her? Sure. Kyoka smiled. My brother will be proud of my progress here, Tenya stated. So today is what? Visit our family and have dates day? Mina asked. Might as well use an off day with family. Meshirao shrugged. Alright, so just let me know if you don't plan on returning to school before curfew. That way I can let Izuku-sensei know. Izuku said. On the way into 1A's classroom, Izuku and Momo, the last two as always, got stopped by the heads of Class 1B, Itsuka Kendo and Tetsu. Izuku letting Eri pass to go with Katsuki. What's up? Izuku asked. You guys apparently. Tetsu stated. What do you mean by that? Momo asked. Midoriya's proclamation at lunch yesterday has apparently made everyone in General Studies believe that 1A thinks they are completely superior. General Studies has actually started making plans to crush you guys at the sports festival, like they actually are going to target you guys specifically. Itsuka explained. Nice. Izuku grinned. Momo whacked Izuku's arm. Not nice. I asked you not to make a scene. I'm sorry, but if someone threatens a saint, I am going to make a scene. The leader of the saints defended himself. Not that I am against loyalty and sticking with your group or anything, but they decided that as a hero course as well, 1B to a lesser extent is on a hit list. Tetsu said. As tough as I like to act, I don't want people like Pony or Kuta being targeted also. Izuku nodded. For that part I do have sincere regret. I only like getting myself into trouble. And other saints apparently. Momo huffed. The glowing boy looked at her. You all know full well how I am. You guys know the risks and you know I have been working on it a little. The Morningstar had a faint smile. You have been working on it, but you have to get better faster. Okay, giving me that look won't work the way you think it will. I think it will. Momo kept the look going. Izuku copied it. I don't think so. Well, we'll just have to see then. You're going to be disappointed. I think I will be fine. You, however. Tetsu looked at Itsuka. It's like they forgot they were talking to us. The orange-haired girl looked at him. You act like you don't do the same thing with me. Tetsu nodded. I know I do it. I just don't like being on the other side. Itsuka smacked her hands together in front of Izuku and Momo, shocking them both. Can you guys at least try to fix the situation with General Studies a little? At least get rid of us being targeted in 1B. Izuku nodded. Got it. All I gotta do is. Momo out a hand over Izuku's mouth. I'll handle this. She pulled her arm away from Izuku. Don't like me like that. I have several things to say now, Izuku said. First off, yeah, you probably should smooth it over, I might make it worse. Secondly, don't cover my mouth if you aren't prepared for the risks. And finally, what do you mean by not like that? Is there some way I am supposed to you? Momo's face turned red at that thought, before she quickly turned and entered the classroom to hide how badly she was blushing. Izuku looked at the kids from 1B. How rude she didn't answer me. Would you have answered that question, Tetsu asked? I would have made a joke, like how it has to be with whipped cream. Izuku chuckled. Itsuka and Tetsu both now were scarred by that mental image. Dude, why do you speak sometimes? Tetsu asked. I find it amusing. Izuku shrugged as he waved to them and entered his classroom. What was the holdup? Katsuki asked. Apparently General Studies is serious about this war regarding the sports festival, Izuku said as he sat down. Oh, deadass. Katsuki got a grin. Might make them almost challenging. It's A to me, really. Izuku shrugged. Well, yeah, you have like 20 abilities and a stupidly large amount of power, Mina said. Yay, some of us aren't overpowered as shit, you know. Toru agreed. You guys are fine. Trust me, Izuku said. The only here who might struggle is Gum because of his size. Katsuki agreed. I'd be offended if it wasn't true that my height kinda does hinder some things. Minoru sighed. It is alright, Minta. I can help you make up for the height with agility and cleverness, Tenya stated. They won't know what hit them, because they can't see him, he's so small. Hanta laughed. Hey, invisibility is my thing, Toru huffed. Not unless Dynamite's special ability is invisibility, Izuku pointed out. I hope it's not invisibility, Katsuki said. I want people to see me when I beat their ass. Something explosive or loud would fit you. Ito nodded. Aizawa made a groaning sound to signify he was there, no one hearing him enter. Alright class, there are no special announcements for today, so we can get right into business. Tense was definitely a word for describing the feeling in the lunchroom. Students from General Studies not liking how arrogant 1A had come off, and Izuku not caring didn't help. Shouldn't you be worried that people aren't liking us? Momo asked. They think we are literally all talk and that we think we are the best just because we survived USJ. They only see it right now as we are fine because we all healed pretty quick, you know, instead of all being in the hospital still. Except you physically have scars on your back from your wings, are missing a finger, and have red shit on your face now, Katsuki said. Meanwhile, Preppy Boy has scars that he can't put pressure on for a few more days all over his from acting in a Jaws movie, and Redhead still is wrapped like a mummy where he got burned to shit. I have an eye made by my shadow, Fumikage pointed out as he flipped up his eye patch to show the pure yellow eye. I actually also have a scar in my where the Namu stabbed me also. Izuku rubbed the outside of his shirt where the scar was. You had wings? Eri asked. Yeah, they were fun, but a weird bird decided he didn't want me having them, Izuku answered the small girl. Eri suddenly remembered that Izuku had carried her multiple times on his back and she might have prodded his scars on accident. She started to feel guilty. Izuku could yell what she was thinking. Hey, it's all right now. I am fine being wingless. But I hurt your back before. Eri tried to argue. That didn't matter. You were more important. Izuku handed her an orange he peeled. Eri stayed silent, just thankful that Izuku cared for her so much. Classes had just ended and now everyone was standing in front of the dorms. Izuku, with Eri sitting on his shoulders, spoke. All right, everybody who is leaving. Remember, curfew for the entire campus is at 9. So if you want to get back here for the night, you gotta get back before that. If you can't make it or decide regardless to stay outside at your homes, let me know ahead of time or just tell Izuku-sensei yourself if you have his number. He is really lenient with us and I kinda like the setup we have with him. So where is my group of people who are staying? Achako, Fumikage, Mina, Minoru, Aoyama, Mezu, Momo, Katsuki and Yui all rose their hands. All right, try to not destroy the building without us. I and Eri will be back around 7 probably. It takes you 4 hours to eat burgers, Katsuki asked. How many are you going to clog your arteries with exactly? Enough. Now shush, Izuku replied. Where is Melissa exactly? Kinda want to make sure she okay and well, even though we are all lying through our teeth about our powers in front of her. The hot scientist girl is probably with the support department again. She apparently made a friend. Denki shrugged. Do you have to call her the hot scientist girl? Kyoka asked. I call it like I see it. Denki shrugged. I should change your nickname from Pikachu to Dumbass. Katsuki rolled his eyes. Not in front of Eri. Izuku ordered. Any other time, sure. When did I become the butt monkey of the class? Denki sighed. You aren't there yet. You guys here hold down the fort. I am going to take a bit longer because I figured Eri might like to meet my mom also, Izuku said. Everybody else have fun with your families or secret dates. With that, the students of 1A separated for their own tasks. Mina closed the door to the dorms behind her. Everybody put on your thinking caps, she shouted. We have a mystery to solve. What mystery? Achako perked up. We need to solve who Ijiro has gone on a date with. Mina pulled Aoyama back down, who was trying to go up the stairs. Mademoiselle, I have more important matters to attend to. Aoyama struggled for a second before sighing. Because after all, this is Mina and she is dead set when it comes to things like this. It was easier to go with it and save his clothes from stretching. He huffed as he sat down. Pass. Katsuki grunted from unraveling cords to his remotes. No passes, Mina stated. Why is this important? Momo asked. Because we have to make sure she is right for Ijiro. As fellow saints, we should take this sort of thing into consideration. That or you just want to sabotage any girl that isn't you. Katsuki mumbled. What was that? Mina didn't catch what he said. I'm sorry, let me speak up. Katsuki cleared his throat. Please don't. Yui asked. Katsuki did still repeat it, just not as loud as he was going to. I said, you just want to sabotage any girl that isn't you. Mina looked confused. What? You like him? Maybe you don't know it as obviously as spiky hair and glowstick obviously like each other. You do though. Why else would you get so interrogative of him this morning? Mina looked at Katsuki like he was stupid. I got so interrogative because he is my friend. I already like a guy. We should still make sure she is right for him. Mina said, if you liked someone you would be declaring your love shit to them. He actually is a quieter person and I like that about him. Who is he? Aoyama asked. Is he a saint or no? Mina shook her head. Nope, I am getting all of my sisters in relationships before I work on mine. Is it Todoroki? He is quiet. Fumikage spoke. Mina got frightened because of who asked it. When did you get here? I have been here. Fumikage deadpanned as he flipped the page in his book. You even asked me if I would be here. I forgot. Mina looked embarrassed. It's fine. I do kind of blend in. The bird-headed boy said. Momo, speaking of this topic. Achako started, waiting for the aforementioned girl to look up from her book. When are you and Izuku going to get together finally? Why is that important? I thought this was about Kirishima. Momo deflected the question. One she actually wanted to know the answer to herself. Yeah, back to Ijiro's mystery girl. Mina clapped her hands. Probably too. Minoru shrugged. Doshi. Achako cut herself off, gaining an eyebrow raise from half of the room. Okay, not Sue. Yui. Minoru took another guess. No. Yui looked up from the TV. I'm right here. Do you all really not know by now? Yui asked. Wait, you know? Mina raised an eyebrow. How do you know? From the fact that they spend a lot of time together since the year started, trained together, and she obviously covered his mouth this morning at his Hagakure. Yui explained. Plus she asked me for tips. Toru. Mina said in confusion, before smacking her own head. Ew, that makes so much sense now that I think about it. That registers with your one brain cell. Katsuki said before Yui fed his arm. Hey, don't F me during our match. Stop being rude all the time. Yui responded. I'm not rude all the time. I'm just a puckish rogue. Katsuki said. Why wouldn't they tell me though? Mina looked hurt that her two closest friends didn't tell her. Where is Peeves? Eri asked from Izuku's shoulders. It's Pete's, and it's right around this corner. Izuku answered as they turned the corner and saw the familiar place. See, right around the corner. It's small. Eri commented. Well, you're small. It's a good place. Never too busy, but busy enough to stay in good business. Izuku said. Do you know what kind of meat is your favorite? Eri thought hard. I didn't eat good with the bad man. Figures. How about I get you what my Gramps liked, although in a smaller portion? Okay. Eri nodded. Once they entered the small diner, Izuku smiled, enjoying the familiar feel of the place. He went to a small table in the corner and led Eri down. Alright, you just chill here while I go get our orders placed. Okay. Eri sat in a seat and noticed how it could spin. Spinning in it while looking outside, she saw a familiar-looking mask. Reacting fast, she freaked out and dove underneath the table, staring at the door to the diner, afraid of one of Chisaki's people coming in. Izuku came back to the table looking confused at the sight of the girl. Eri, what's wrong? Eri pointed to the window and Izuku looked outside, seeing no one that looked like they would matter. However, Izuku knew Eri was not one to freak out over nothing. He nodded. Alright, let's go then. The food should be done in a second and we can go to the next stop quicker. Don't leave me. Eri didn't want Izuku to leave, even if it was to grab a bag a couple of meters away. Izuku felt sad at the tone she had, like she was afraid he would leave her still despite everything he has done to prove he wouldn't. It made him more pissed off at Chisaki Kai, who he still planned on taking down eventually. I won't. I'm bringing you with me and we are going to be alright. Izuku offered a hand to Eri, who took it and followed him to the counter. Hey, can I have mine to go now? Change of plans. Izuku said to the person by the counter. No problem. The guy responded. It will be just a second. Izuku nodded. Hey Eri, we can move quicker if you get on my back again. Eri looked at his back and remembered the fact that he had scars and such. But won't it hurt? It won't either way, you are more important. Izuku repeated his line from earlier. Eri was still hesitant but did it regardless. Feeling guilty when she heard the sound of pain, Izuku did his best to keep quiet. See, didn't hurt. Izuku lied. Want to hold the bag while we go to the next stop? Eri nodded. What is the next stop? My home before the dorms. Izuku answered as he took the bag from the counter and let Eri hold it. You will like it probably. There was thankfully no hindrances in their path to Izuku's mom's apartment. Izuku even took a few turns to check for a tail but saw nothing at all, only relaxing when he entered the apartment building. Alright, we are safe now. No bad men in here, Izuku said as he climbed the stairs. Except old man Yagami. He is one of the bad men. Eri tried to look for the old man. Nah, kinda just an old grouch. He is unpleasant most of the time, but it's just how he is because his life wasn't good and his kids suck. They don't ever call him. Why? No clue. Me and Nito thought he was cool that one day he showed us his gun collection. Izuku remembered that day 2 years ago. Well, I liked it more than Nito. He doesn't like guns or he didn't like them either, knowing what Chisaki did at times. That's just me and Gramps really. He liked guns, like it was a religion. Kinda rubbed off on me. Mima taught me how to make my own. Mima. Eri hadn't heard that before. She is a grandma of mine but she only liked being called Mima. She was kinda scary. Very kind woman though. She would have loved you because she has a really soft side. Why does she only like Mima? I dunno. My family is kinda weird, Izuku commented as he knocked on the door to the apartment. Family is great but weird. Inko opened the door and looked confused to see her son with a small girl on his back. Izu. Hi mom. Izuku grinned. This is Eri. Hello Izu's mom. Eri waved. Inko smiled and let them in. Izuku, honey, may I ask why you have a little kid with you? Funny story. Have you seen the news lately? Izuku knew she would flip when she realized what fully happened. Not anything to do with Inko remembered 2 days ago when a teen whose face wasn't shown clearly but the voice was now unmistakable. She instantly smacked her son's arm. Izuku, how could you get yourself in such a bad situation 3 days after the last situation? Izuku rubbed his arm, glad he let Eri off of his back before he got hit. Why does everyone smack me? Izuku asked. Why do you have to put yourself in such a bad situation? Inko retorted, feeling upset that she was just now learning he was in a villain attack 3 days after the last one he was in. Can't you wait a long time before you do something like this? No, Eri needed help, Izuku responded. Plus I survived. Inko sighed. I know. You are capable enough to handle yourself but I am still your mother. You getting a paper cut is enough to give me a heart attack. Good thing I haven't gotten one since I was 10. Izuku sat at the dining table and pulled the food out of the bag. May I ask why you brought food from Pete's? Inko asked. She was not one for the food from that place. I wanted Eri to try them. We were originally going to eat there but some goon of the guy who had Eri walked past or something. I decided we shouldn't stay there. Please tell me you made sure you weren't followed here or anything. Inko didn't feel like having her living room turned into a battlefield. I made sure. Went for a few loops actually. I saw no one. Can you tell me about this? Inko indicated to the left side of his face. I'm pretty sure that wasn't there before UA. Izuku nodded. That Namu gave this to me. While he was blasting my face with energy multiple times, apparently the halo stole some to keep and used it to fix the damage. Is it permanent? Inko looked concerned. As much as she knew he wasn't one, the new red marks helped make him look more villainous. And is that part of a horn from that stage you entered at USJ? Izuku rubbed some of the red lines. Yes, they're permanent. I actually have night vision in that eye if I focus. The horn, don't know if I can call it a full horn if it's mostly flat and barely a few centimeters off of my forehead. I think it is there because of my red energy now. Can you enter that state still? Inko was worried that her son might end up more like a demon because of the halo. What state? Eri asked as she finally unwrapped her sandwich after struggling with it. An extra state of power I have to be careful with, Izuku answered. The scientist tried to help me get it again but no luck. It's triggered by my extreme negative emotions as far as we can tell. My guess is it's the halo flipping out trying to protect me or help me get rid of the negative emotions. Where is your halo? Eri asked. Around me, kinda just as me at this point, Izuku said. What were your exact negative emotions? Inko asked her son, worrying it was about something she did her best to help him forget. I thought Momo died and I blamed myself. Izuku knew if he said the final thoughts he had before he started the transformation his mom might be upset. Inko knew he was hiding more, which made her know exactly what it was. Did it make you? Yes, Izuku said flatly. He didn't like the topic being brought up and wanted to stop it before it happened. Inko sighed, not knowing how to respond. This topic was something she had tried to console Izuku on many times but he would always shut down the conversation. She decided once again to change the subject. So is this Momo girl the same one who broke the rules by going into your chamber at that lab with no hesitation? Yeah, she's great. Izuku nodded. Izu and Momo slept together. Eri added. A pin being dropped could be heard at that dining table. Izuku keeping his look even with his mother out of panic and Inko's eye twitched. You what? Inko exclaimed. Not like that, Izuku shouted to save himself from a lecture of Yule safety and that stuff. To me it sounds like Eri needed a roommate. Momo was alright with it. Eri later had a nightmare, so Momo called me and I came and consoled her. And was too tired to walk back to my room. We literally just fell asleep next to each other, nothing else. Izuku was waving his arms around frantically. Inko studied her son's face. Be careful, and yes, protection. Izuku out his face in his hands. Mom, please stop. Later, thankfully, Izuku's mom had long forgotten trying to make sure Hisin was aware of the risks. Instead, now she was trying to learn more about Eri. Izu, what actually happened to her parents? Inko asked quietly as they watched Eri go around Izuku's old room, looking at the stuff he left behind when he moved into the dorms. Her mom is like dad, complete ass. As far as I know from the mom during our one conversation, apparently Eri's quirk made her real father just disappear. Inko looked at the little girl and felt sorrow for her. What is her quirk? Izuku drew a blank. Honestly, I dunno. Inko gave her son a look. Are you telling me that you hear about a quirk being bad and you don't try to figure it out so it doesn't hurt anyone else? The boy shrugged. It saved my life, so I figured it wasn't all bad. What do you mean it saved your life? Inko gained an edge. Sorry I didn't mention it, but I technically should have died again. What do you mean you should technically have died? Inko almost shouted but remained quiet enough to not let Eri hear them. The guy's quirk, his name is apparently Chisaki, was something about being able to manipulate anything he touches. At the end of our fight he grabbed my. Izuku didn't feel like saying what happened. Inko sighed. At least Eri was there, I guess. Please be more careful, Izu. A mother can't take all this stress. I think I overused all of your stress when I got kicked into hell and lost my kneecaps for a week. Izuku tried to laugh. Inko sighed again. Don't remind me of that. You are turning my hair gray. Eri walked out of Izuku's room holding the old spire piece that Johnny gave him. What's this? Oh, that is a souvenir from one of Grandpa's trips. It's a reminder to him that nothing can keep a saint from soaring. Izuku was beginning to miss the time in between training sessions with Johnny where he would tell Izuku and Nito tales of his time as a saint before the timeline reset. Can I keep it? Eri asked, liking the weird design of the piece. Sure, it's yours, just don't poke my eye out with it, Izuku warned. Okay, Eri chirped, before going back to looking at Izuku's old stuff. Izu, in the time since your last visit you had enough to almost kill you 3 times. Had to be in a lab machine to live, grew a horn, and now you are a father. Inko looked at her son. Next time can you please just grow your hair out or something else mild between visits? I promise to try, Mom. Izuku smiled. Wait, what do you mean I am a father? Inko nodded her head towards Izuku's room. You have a fatherly attachment to Eri. It's just Izuku didn't know how to argue his apparent fatherhood. She deserves the best after what she has been through. I know, sweetie. Inko nodded. Alright, say bye to my mom. Izuku had Eri on his back again as they were leaving his mother's home. Bye, Izu's mom. Eri waved. Bye, Eri. Izu, try to visit soon. Inko waved to the departing kids. I promise, Mom. Bye. Izuku heard the door close as he went down the stairs. Your mom is nice. Eri yawned. Yeah, she is. Are you tired already? We had one more stop to go to, Izuku mentioned. No, I am not tired. Eri lied so she can go to the third place Izuku wanted to take her. Alright, I don't believe you, but if you are so sure then off we go. Where Eri got excited. It's a secret. Don't worry, it's close by. What is this place? Eri asked as they entered a building with multiple lights of every color, as well as multiple machines. People were around, all looking like they were having fun. This is an arcade. They're fun. Izuku let her off of his back and led her to a coin machine. In order to play the games you have to have coins. They are here but you gotta have money for them. I don't have money. Eri pouted, wanting to play the games. Well, you actually do. Izuku handed her a few bills from his burnt wallet. Just slide them in this slot, one at a time, and coins will come out of here. Izuku pointed to the different parts. Oh, Eri nodded as she began to use the machine as Izuku explained. Yep, that should be enough coins to let us have fun for a bit before we go back to the dorms, Izuku said. Since they are your coins, you get to choose what games to play. Eri looked at the multiple machines. Not being able to choose, she grabbed the closest thing first, an air hockey table. Air hockey, excellent choice, Izuku said as he grabbed the puck that popped out, Eri already getting how to use the machine. How do we play? Eri asked as Izuku grabbed a stool for her to use. Simple, try to get this to go in the slot on the opposite side of the table from you, Izuku explained. Oh, I get it. Eri took the puck and walked it to Izuku's side, slipping it in the slot. Izuku laughed a little. Perhaps I should explain more. You have to stay on your side and use this to hit the puck. Izuku handed her the pusher. You can't take it off the table. You have to slide it. Izuku showed her by moving his pusher and tapping the puck. You have to defend your slot and try to get the luck in mine at the same time. I'm actually pretty good at air hockey. Eri nodded and began to slide her pusher around the table. Okay, I think I get it. Alright, I will start off easy, Izuku said as he got to his side and set the puck. Are you ready? Eri nodded excitedly. Alrighty, here goes. Izuku tapped the puck to her side. Hard enough to get it over there but soft enough that she could react in time. Eri smacked the puck as hard as she could and it flew sideways at the edge of the table, bounced off and went right into the slot, earning her a point. Izuku blinked and looked at the 6-year-old. Either you are hustling me or you have a natural talent for this game. I don't know what hustling is, Eri stated. You could probably do it later on. I'll teach you. Just don't tell Momo. Why? Because I feel like it will be like my gambling with her. What's gambling? Something I would love to show you the ropes of, but Momo has yelled at me enough in the past week. Izuku chuckled. I like it. It is something I picked up from Gramps. Izuku hit the puck over to her, still not going all out. He gave you a lot, Eri commented as she hit the puck back, it bouncing off the side again. He was my role model. Not a really good role model, but he was mine. Izuku hit the puck back to Eri. Who's my role model? Eri hit the puck back. Hopefully not Denki. Izuku got the pick past Eri's defense. Is he the one that said, "Don't say it please"? Izuku rushed. It's not a good word. Yes, it was Denki who said it and he shouldn't have. Eri figured out how to retrieve the puck and out it on the table. Momo is scary and nice. Izuku nodded. It depends on how stupid I am at that moment. She isn't as much scary as worries too much with good reasoning. And yells at me to get me to know how she feels. I think she only yells at you. Eri smacked the puck too hard and it bounced completely off the table. I think I do too. Izuku picked up the puck. Why does she do that? Probably because she is worried I am going to break my last 12 brain cells one of these days. The loud one says Denki has none of those. Eri answered. You mean Katsuki. You call him Dynamite. Eri got the puck past Izuku. Yeah, that's Katsuki. He is loud, kinda part of his personality. Izuku set the puck and hit it. He calls me Little Horn sometimes. Eri hit the puck back to Izuku. He has nicknames for everyone. Mine is Glowstick. He just calls everyone by a basic part of their appearance, or something about the way they act or their quirk. He calls that one girl Princess. Is she a princess? Eri missed trying to get the puck. Kodai, she isn't a real princess, although I think her family is rich. I believe he calls her that because at first she seemed all neutral and calm when we all met. Kinda graceful. She makes good food. Eri commented as she set back up the puck. Her omelets are good. Izuku agreed. Why does that one girl keep saying ribbit? That's Tsu. Her quirk makes her half frog basically. I always figured she was either screwing with us making the ribbits or she actually does that because of being part frog. Izuku hit the puck almost into the slot but Eri blocked it, sending it back to him. Can she jump like one? Yep. Pretty much everything a frog can do she can as far as I know. Why is Ms. Ashido pink? Eri kept the questions going. Originally I didn't know and figured her acid did that. In honesty, it's because she comes from a family of people who are red or such and I guess she just ended up pink. Any other questions? Izuku figured she was going to start asking about everyone else. Eri stopped playing for a second, the puck on her side. What is your quirk? She remembered him saying something about not having a quirk, but then other people say his has one. It was confusing to Eri. I call it Saint's Flow. Just a bunch of powers and abilities I get from this unique energy I have. But I can tell you more at home if you promise to keep a secret, Izuku said. He believed he could tell Eri. She was smart enough to understand secrets. Plus she only was around the Saints anyways, and they were kinda loose about talking about it in front of her. Okay, Eri said as she smacked the puck and made it go into the slot before Izuku could react. Okay, now I know you are definitely hustling me. Izuku grinned. I still don't know what that is, Eri responded. It's just in you to hustle. Izuku hit the puck back to her. Hey Eri, what is your quirk exactly? Eri looked worried for a second. What is my quirk? She repeated. Not as if she didn't know it, but like she had to make sure she knew the question. Izuku knitted his brows, figuring that her reaction had to be a combination of treatment from her mother and Chisaki. She probably believed wholeheartedly that her quirk was evil like her mother said. Izuku didn't like that, so he said his next line carefully. Yeah, I figured I should learn more about the quirk that saved my life. Izuku spoke. Eri looked like she was at a conflict mentally, so Izuku added another line. Can't be your #1 fan if I don't know your quirk. Eri nodded. I don't know it completely. I only know a little. I can work with a little, Izuku said as he walked around the table, Eri having won their match and this was more important. He talked to others about it sometimes in front of me. Chisaki, Eri nodded. He said it had the potential to get rid of the filth that has plagued humanity. Izuku took a second to think. That guy called his powers a filthy quirk. Maybe the guy hated quirks and wanted to get rid of them. By filth did he mean quirks? I think so. That definitely confirmed it. Wait, so that bullet I got shot with, it would have erased my quirk. I think it is only for a time. He hadn't gotten that far yet. How is he using your quirk exactly? Izuku felt guilty as soon as he said it because it looked bad to see Eri remembering what happened. You don't have to tell me if you don't want to. It was mean. I know. Once I find him I am going to kick his teeth in for you. Izuku ruffled her hair. Now let's get happy. You still have plenty of coins left and many machines to choose from. He wanted to get that sad look off of her face. Okay. The small girl started to look for a new game. Wasn't that fun? Izuku said as they left later. No more coins left to use and Eri holding a bag of candy she got with her ticket. Eri nodded happily. What's next? Next we get to go back to the dorms. No candy. Till after dinner. Except maybe one piece. While we ride the train back I am going to check my phone for who is coming back. Once they got to the train and in some seats Izuku pulled out his phone, seeing messages from the others. Shoto, I am going to stay home tonight. Everything is well. Izuku typed out a message to him. Izuku, alright man. Hope it stays well. Did your siblings also accept your father's request? Izuku closed the chat and saw a group message from Hanta, Denki and Hanta. Denki, hey boss, we are staying in the city. All of us are together BTW. Hanta, yay. And Ajiro threw Denki over a wall as a dare. Meshuro, he is alright now. Izuku, okay Elmao, but don't die before you come to class tomorrow. At that moment Tenya sent a message. Tenya, I will be arriving back at the dorms around approximately 8:30 p.m. Tenya, Izuku, alright my guy, you also don't have to sign your texts. Izuku didn't see a message from Tsuyu, Ijiro or Toru, so he assumed they were returning. Next he checked a message from Kyoka. Kyoka, we will be in a hospital till tomorrow morning. Nito's sister got so happy to see him she hugged him too hard and accidentally opened one of his worst wounds. Izuku felt bad that he wanted to laugh at the mental picture of that. Izuku, alright, I will let Teach know. I don't see why we have to go in separately, Ijiro said as they entered the campus of UA. The invisible girl next to him responded, because I don't know how to tell Mina. I could tell her. The burnt redhead offered. I know you can, but I should. She is my best friend and I feel bad about keeping the fact of my having a crush on someone from her. You have a crush on someone who Ijiro joked. He is this dork who got himself wrapped halfway to being a mummy. Toru pushed Ijiro slightly. This isn't half. Ijiro checked his bandages. At most this is like 1/5. Doesn't matter, you don't have half of your face. And that was my selling point. I thought your manliness was your selling point. Can't really act manly when I choked when asking you out and you had to finish my sentence. Ijiro said. That was cute. Plus you jumped through fire head on to save a friend. Definitely manly, just like that date. Toru wrapped her hand in Ijiro's, deciding to just tell Mina outright. It was a good date, Ijiro asked. Yes it was. Stop freaking out or you might spill more drinks on yourself. Toru poked him. Well sorry if I freak out. Sometimes a man's gotta. Oh so now you are back to being manly. You called me cute, makes me manly again. It's like my anti-kryptonite. Alright, so next time we get in a fight with villains you'll see me in a cheerleader's outfit calling you cute to keep you going. You don't have to do that. Ijiro used all of his willpower to not be a normal teen picturing a cheerleader. Right as they entered the dorms Toru said her next line. But it will be fun to watch you blush and stutter. Over what Ochako asked as she saw them enter. Nothing, Ijiro quickly said. Ochako nodding along even though she knew it was something. How was your date? Mina asked accusingly. So you know, Toru asked. She made us. Ochako said. She couldn't make me do shit. Katsuki spoke from the kitchen, getting himself a drink. Everyone kinda expected her to know and was shocked when she didn't. Momo said. I expected it also really. Ijiro stretched his arms. I mean you do call yourself a love expert. Why didn't you guys tell me though? Mina asked. Partially worried that you would get overbearing. Toru said. Trying to force situations like you do with Izuku and Yaoyorozu. Ijiro added. I am not overbearing, Mina said. Yeah you are. Katsuki scoffed. You always get in everyone's face the second you think any sort of attraction is there. Mina laughed. I will have you know that I do not always do that. In fact, I have been keeping secret about. Mina stopped talking when the dorms opened, with Sue followed by All Might. Good evening, students. All Might said. Can I ask for Midoriya privately? Glowstick is still out with Little Horn. Katsuki answered. I can ask him when he is going to be back. Momo said, pulling out her phone. Momo, hey, when will you be back? Is the boss in trouble again? Ijiro asked. All Might looked nervous for a second, still not liking what was about to happen when Izuku got back. He is not in trouble. However, I want to ask for two of you to come help if things go bad. Everyone looked at the hero in confusion. Why would things go bad? Katsuki asked, filled with suspicion. It is more of a safety thing. I personally want to make sure nothing bad happens and I can't fill you in on any details unless those involved are willing to share. I need two people that are good supporting types. Momo felt her phone go off and saw Izuku's message. Izuku, I am actually entering campus right now. Eri had a great time. I also have an idea for my gun and I ask for your help. I'm in, Katsuki said. I'm sorry young Bakugo, but it isn't that type of support. All Might didn't want things to escalate at all and knew that Katsuki would definitely escalate it. Izuku is just now getting on campus. Momo announced. I can support. Ochako raised her hand, wanting to help with whatever it was and return the favor from when Izuku comforted her before. I'll join. All Might nodded. Okay, you too. I can explain what is going on in a minute. Once Izuku gets here, Ochako asked. All Might looked uncomfortable again. It is actually different. I was told to just bring Izuku to the meeting. What meeting? Momo raised an eyebrow. All Might sighed. This situation is uncomfortable for me and I argue against it with my whole person. What's going on? You're making it seem like you expect something bad to happen, Fumikage stated. The pro hero nodded. I do. It is a delicate situation. Well, you know we are all saints and shit. We are going to find out anyway, so just tell us and save time. Katsuki grumbled. Everyone stopped when they heard laughter and the front door opening. It was the talked about Izuku and Eri. I don't have a name for it. It's just a pistol that shoots lasers, Izuku said to the small girl as they entered. Does it go pew pew like the arcade? Eri asked. I can probably make it say that sound. Izuku turned to the others. Why do you all look tense? All Might was the first to speak. Young Midoriya, I ask that you come with me to the main building. Izuku's smile disappeared. Crap, am I in trouble again? I didn't do anything. Izuku got defensive. All Might shook his head. No, it is just a matter that Principal Nezu wants to go over. Izuku nodded. Oh good, not in trouble. First let me go drop this one's candy off at a spot I see. Elle knew she won't go through it all in one night. I won't. Eri tried to defend herself, despite the temptation to actually do just that. I know you will try, but I gotta make sure, Izuku said as he went for the stairs. Momo, I am also going to bring the schematic because I think you could help me fix my pistol. Midoriya, we are pressed for time. All Might really didn't want to rush to the meeting, but he didn't want the situation to last longer than it had to. It'll just be a second. Swear. Izuku went up the stairs. After a second of silence, Ochako broke it by speaking to Eri. How was your evening, Eri? Eri held up a glow-in-the-dark green worm she won at the arcade. I have a worm. Nice. Ijiro nodded. What did you even do? We went to get burgers. They were great. I met Izu's mom. She was nice. Went to a place called an arcade. It had so many lights. I played air hockey, a game with cyborgs, a game called Pac-Man. Eri was excitedly yelling everything. I take it you had fun with Izuku today, Momo smiled. It was amazing. Eri had a big smile. Midori is apparently a good dad after 2 days, Mina said. He is the best dad, Eri said, not yet realizing she does see Izuku as her father at this point. Hello students, Nezu announced himself as he entered. Is Midoriya here yet? All Might didn't like Nezu being there, because that meant that the person was coming right behind him. Everyone went silent when they saw who entered right after Nezu. Izuku came down the stairs, holding his pistol instead of the schematics, thinking it would just be easier to point to the area Momo could create a few new parts for and insert them in. He had to be careful, of course, because he was holding a pistol that was half destroyed, very fragile at the second. Getting to the bottom of the stairs, he spoke before looking up. Hey, I decided the gun itself would be easier for you to work. Izuku stopped talking and dropped his gun, which broke apart as it hit the floor. When he looked up and saw him, standing a couple of meters away, was his father, Asashi Midoriya, previously on the heroic saint. Getting to the bottom of the stairs, he spoke before looking up. Hey, I decided the gun itself would be easier for you to work. Izuku stopped talking and dropped his gun, which broke apart as it hit the floor. When he looked up and saw him, standing a couple of meters away, was his father, Asashi Midoriya. A stray shot somehow launched out of the pistol as the broken pistol hit the floor, hitting the floor right next to Katsuki. Everyone looked at it for a second, except Izuku, who hadn't taken his now wide eyes off of his father. No one said anything, feeling a tension between the father and son. Izuku, the gruff voice of Hisashi said. Hisashi was tall, built like an athlete with short wild green hair that looked like it was made of flames almost. He looked similar to Izuku, except Izuku had his halo veins and horn to separate himself farther from Hisashi. Katsuki was gripping his fists tightly and being held back by Yui. He could easily break out of her grip, but part of him wanted Izuku to beat his father's ass by himself, just to stick it to him. Izuku felt something break inside, as if the mere sight of his father and the one word he said was a trigger to make him relive every beating he had gotten as a child. His response was to try to go back up the stairs. Midoriya, Nezu spoke. Come back here. Why? Izuku turned around, looking slightly mad. He knew that it was Nezu behind his father being there. Probably another damn test of his control. We need to sit down and have this matter resolved, Nezu answered. What matter resolved? Izuku shouted. Do you mean the trauma you don't even fully understand and are trying to trigger by bringing him here? Midoriya, your transformation is a risk. Nezu burrowed his brow, noticing a bit of black fluid in his halo veins. To no one, it hasn't gone off since USJ. You have no control of yourself during it, Nezu said. Izuku was gripping the rail really tightly. Just being in his father's gaze was bringing back everything. He could feel the back of his neck burning as if it was happening again. Black fluid was going through his veins faster and more frequently than before, and everyone in the room could clearly see that, some of them feeling tense. Enough, Hisashi said to Nezu. Let me speak to him myself. I have nothing to say to you. Izuku was now understanding more about his transformation. It was a panic button for his extreme fear as well as a state of anger. He was fighting back the transformation he felt starting to warm up. Hisashi tried to speak, but Izuku cut him off. Anything you wanted to say to me you could have said before you abandoned me in that alley, Izuku shouted, going back down the stairs while doing so. If you would, Hisashi was looking mad when Izuku cut him off again. Izuku looked like he was shaking, trying to hold himself back. His green veins were losing their green shade and slowly becoming purple. Momo pulled Eri closer to her, making sure the girl wouldn't be in the way. You don't deserve to say anything. Izuku's transformation was turning all of his fear into anger. It barely had to try, as Izuku had pent-up aggression building up since everything happened. Nezu was starting to regret bringing Hisashi here. What he thought was simply being abandoned was quickly shown to not be just that. Hisashi grit his teeth. Let me speak. Izuku knew he had to leave the area that exact instant or he would not be able to do the transformation. The black tar-like substance started to appear on his skin, leaking out from his halo veins. His one visible horn was gaining a little edge. I didn't hear anything from you for 10 years. I don't need to hear anything now. Izuku attempted to go back up the stairs. You still act like a little brat. Hisashi growled. That was the pushing point for Izuku. In the next few seconds, multiple things happened. Izuku's transformation of Saint's demons was almost fully activated, covering him mostly in the demonic form, his red veins now stretching and covering his entire face in a like design. The tar-like covering missing in only a few spots. Izuku turned and leapt at his father with his clawed head already going for a strike at Hisashi's face. Midoriya no All Might shouted as he quickly moved to grab the boy and not let him attack his father. Several of the students had either jumped farther back to get space or jumped forward to stop Izuku like All Might. Those being Momo, Aoyama, Mezu, and Fumikage. Katsuki joined as well, but it was against his better judgment because he fully believed that Hisashi should get what he deserves. All Might didn't grab Izuku quick enough to prevent his first strike, his blackened claws cutting 4 large slashes across Hisashi's face, not deep enough to kill him like intended, as All Might was quick enough to prevent that from happening. Hisashi fell backwards onto his ass, actually looking up in fear at the demonic boy who All Might could barely hold. Midoriya stop. All Might was glad that so far Izuku hadn't turned on him, but the state of rage could make him do so any second. Fumikage quickly put a hand towards Izuku and used his Loa Dust to try to calm him down. Midoriya stop. Izuku, still being guided by his rage, struggled to break out of All Might's hold, digging his claws into All Might's arms slightly. Monsieur Midoriya Aoyama was struggling to hold Izuku back. Momo out herself in between Izuku and his father as he tried to claw him again. Izuku no. The sight of Momo being struck, even the slightest bit that she was, pulled back Izuku's rage enough to give him back more control. Izuku stopped struggling, breathing heavily. He broke out of All Might's loosening grip and glared at Nezu, not looking at Momo, ashamed that his rage made him strike her on accident. You had no right to bring him here, he shouted with tears starting to appear in his eyes as he stormed over to the exit, everyone watching as he slammed the door so hard it actually broke off of the wall. It was dead silent and no one knew what to say. What would they say following someone turning into a demon to try and kill their father? Momo felt her cheek, feeling the leak out of the blackened cut Izuku gave her. All Might looked at Nezu. I told you this wouldn't end well. Nezu didn't respond, not expecting to be so drastically wrong about how bad a situation was. Hisashi still stared at the spot Izuku was in when he attacked him, frozen in fear from the hate he saw in his son's cold, dark black eyes, now having the look of fear he once gave his son. Nezu had quickly escorted Hisashi out of UA, leaving All Might to go find Izuku. The rest of 1A was left in the commons. I should have thrown a punch myself. Katsuki scowled. Did Midori really get abandoned in an alley? Mina asked quietly, no one speaking above a whisper. Yes, Katsuki muttered. His father is a jackass. What happened to Izuku? Asked, looking scared and being held tightly by Momo. He entered a power he had. It happens when he is angry, Katsuki said. Midoriya was actually shaking, he was getting so mad. Minoru said, Katsuki, since that all happened, can you please just tell us what happened? Momo asked, having put a bandage over the cut to stop the bleeding. Katsuki frowned. It is his business, but I guess that was thrown out the window. That bastard wanted to have a son he could mold into a second version of himself. That stuff Icy Hot unloaded on us the other day about what his dad was like pretty much. Except Spitfire was more abusive, especially after he found out Izuku didn't get born with flame breath. He was born quirkless, Achako said. Yes, his father didn't know this until Izuku was 4, and the next year wasn't good. Bastard took out his rage on Izuku, physically, before deciding to just abandon Izuku one time. Katsuki had to stop to breathe, getting pissed off because he couldn't forget how he didn't improve things for Izuku back then. The guy made Izuku believe he was worthless, which is why when Johnny appeared like Izuku said he did, Izuku leached onto him, finally having a positive role model for once, someone who believed in his potential. But as you could see, Izuku never got over any of the problems, only hiding them and letting them get worse. We should find Izuku, Momo said, worried about him. Yes, we should. Fumikage nodded. The second anyone finds him, tell everyone else, Katsuki said as he stood up. Someone needs to stay here with Eri. Katsuki didn't want the little girl who must have been scared shitless to go out there in the dark. No, Eri argued. As much as she was scared, she wanted Izuku. I want to help Izu. Good lord, what happened to our door? The voice of Tenya spoke and everyone turned to see him just returning. Midoriya broke it. Fumikage said, his dad was here. Mina added. Tenya got quiet also. Is he alright? We were just about to go find him. Minoru said. Where would he go? Would he even still be on campus? Toru said. With his father around, Aoyama said. He could have left campus altogether. Momo got an idea. I might know where he is. Where? Katsuki asked. Where's the one place he spent the most time with? Momo asked. It's either that beach or the burger place. Katsuki said. Split into 2 groups and search them first. Isn't that place closed right now? Kyoka asked. Dude just tried to kill his own dad. I don't think he cares about a locked door. Minoru said as they tried to exit the building, only to run into Aizawa. Kids, I know you all are aware of the curfew, Aizawa said, but Sensei Mina tried to argue. Aizawa held up his hand to signal for her to stop. Let me finish. The rule stipulates no entries back onto campus after 9. Just find someplace to stay. If you can't, I can still look the other way. Aizawa knew what happened when he saw All Might. He also disagreed with the whole of Nezu's plan. I saw him storm off of campus, if that helps at all. Shouldn't you also be concerned for him? Katsuki asked their teacher. I am concerned. However, I believe you guys are more suited for this. Aizawa stepped out of their way. Okay, so we have either the beach, burger place, or he possibly went back to his mom. Katsuki said. I will lead the group to his mom's place because I am the only one here who knows where it is. I can take people to Pete's. Achako offered. I can take the beach then. It is Dagaba Municipal Beach, correct? Momo asked. Yeah. Katsuki nodded. I don't care who follows me. He left, Yui, Ijiro, Toru and Mina following him. Okay, Pete's group, follow me. Achako took the path there, Minoru, Mezu and Tenya following her. Momo, holding Eri, looked to the 3 people left. Fumikage, Aoyama and Tsu. Looks like we have our beach group. Let's go find Midoriya, Fumikage said as they started on their way. Inko opened the door to her apartment, at first confused about seeing a group of teenagers, but recognizing Katsuki. Hello Katsuki, why are you here so late? Inko asked as she let them enter. Did Izuku come back here? Katsuki asked. Yes, he was here earlier with that sweet girl Eri. Inko answered. That was hours ago. Shouldn't he be back at school? We don't know where he is, Mina said. Inko felt panic. Hours after just lecturing Izuku to be careful and he was missing. What happened? They came back to UA. But Spitfire was there, Katsuki said. Inko sat down on her couch. Oh dear, what happened? Tell me everything. Katsuki sat in the chair he would normally take there, the others joining him and sitting around the area. As far as I can tell, the principal was worried that Izuku had no control over his Saint's Demon's transformation and wanted to get rid of any triggers. And Izuku's father was a trigger, Mina added. A big one. Ijiro nodded. What did that man say to my son? Inko was definitely getting stressed out again. Izuku wouldn't really let the guy speak. He kept cutting him off and yelling at him. Ijiro said. Yeah, at first he looked really scared but then started getting angrier. And angrier as it went on. Toru said. Spitfire maybe got out 2 full sentences. Izuku snapped when the bastard said he was still a brat. Katsuki said. It took All Might, me, Bird Boy, arms, Frenchie and spiky hair to restrain him, and that was a struggle. Inko probably gained a few more gray hairs. After that, well, Midori cut his dad's face pretty good. Momo got him to calm down just enough that Midori instead yelled at Nezu and stormed off of campus. We started looking for him after that. Do you know why Hisashi would come? Inko asked. We only know what Principal Nezu's intentions were. Yui spoke. Midoriya's father couldn't get enough out for anyone to know his own intentions. It's like the halo was forcing Izuku to be mad almost. Ijiro remarked. It would make sense. Anger can access his transformation better and the halo might be protective of Izuku and didn't want him to have fear at all. Katsuki theorized. Wait, how do you know about the halo? Inko asked them. The boss told us all. He actually made that group his grandfather wanted. Toru answered that. We need to find Izuku though, Katsuki stated, getting antsy. Izu hasn't come here, Inko said. He might come here though, so I will let you know if he does. Katsuki nodded. Okay, sorry to bother you, Ms. Midoriya. We will find Izuku. The group started to leave. The lights aren't on and the door is locked, so I wanna guess Midoriya isn't here, Minoru said as he tried the door to Pete's, which was locked and closed for the night. Izuku might have gained his senses back and locked the door behind him, Tenya offered as he looked through the glass. Mezu made more ears with his dupli arms and focused on the inside of the building. There are no sounds inside. If he is in there, he is being deathly quiet. If Izuku was coming here, he would have broken the door on accident probably. I don't think he can pick a lock and the door is locked in normal condition. Achako sighed. He didn't come here, so if it is any of the spots, it's the others. Everyone's phones went off at the same time. Bakugo says he wasn't at his mom's, Minoru reported. So it's the beach if any of the 3 spots, Mezu said. Let's go then. Aoyama was the first one who had been able to find Izuku the whole time. Being told to search farther down the beach, he found Izuku. He had kept a distance from the saint until he was sure Izuku had reigned in his demonic state, which has been evaporating off of him like purple and black steam. Aoyama, not wanting to be attacked, had stopped near a dock, close enough to the water that he was just arm's reach away. He was sitting there in the sand with his head in his knees. Aoyama pulled out his phone and Aoyama put his phone away and approached Izuku slowly. He could hear the sounds of Izuku sobbing as he got closer. I'm not talking to him, Izuku muttered. You can't make me. Aoyama guessed that Izuku was assuming it was a teacher who found him. Monsieur Boss, I can assure you I will not send you to that man, Aoyama said. I would be a hypocrite. Izuku looked slightly in Aoyama's direction. What? A hypocrite? I would be a hypocrite, sending you back to your father when I didn't want to talk to mine. Aoyama sat next to Izuku. He could see the puffiness in Izuku's eyes. You had a bad dad too, Izuku asked. He was nowhere near as bad as your father, but he was bad enough. He wanted me to be version 2 of him, something I didn't meet the standards of. Our class has 3 terrible dads so far. Endeavor is better actually. He is trying to fix himself. Izuku took a breath. What was the deal with your dad? He actually has a dark dagger-like quirk, Aoyama said. He was not the kindest when instead of a new and improved version of his quirk I gained a second version of my mother's. She could make herself shine brightly. I got bright lasers from my stomach, but with a major drawback. The stomach contents being used as a source of power. Izuku filled in. He was never kind to me, never paid a hand on me, but was emotional abusive. My mother separated from him when I was 8. I decided to put myself as far away from him as possible. If he was a shadow, I would make myself shine so bright that he wouldn't matter and be nothing to me. I wish it was that easy for me, Izuku said. The harder the polish work is done, the more we shine in the end, Aoyama stated. We can both put in more elbow grease and show them that they were wrong, and that we will shine bright with our own vibrant light. Izuku made a smile. As long as we are the twinkling buddies, I would have nothing else. Aoyama grinned, glad he was cheering up Izuku. It's kind of weird that 3 people in the same class all have fathers who were S for pretty much the same reason, Izuku pointed out. Aoyama nodded. May I also point out that the only one who was born with their father's quirk in any way was the one who had their father realize his mistake himself and try to change. Izuku exhaled. Kind of interesting. They stayed silent for a minute, both turning when they heard 2 people approaching. It was Momo holding Eri. Hey Izuku. Momo spoke softly, Eri half asleep in her arms. Izuku eyeing the bandage and feeling guilty. Izuku made an awkward face, standing up and facing Momo. I'm sorry. Momo out a hand over Izuku's mouth. It's fine. No, it's not. It's Izuku stopped talking when Eri woke up. Eri rubbed her eyes. Izuku gave a weak smile to Eri. Hi Eri, sorry you had to see that. That was scary, Eri stated. I know. That was my powers trying to protect me. Your powers were trying to protect you, Eri asked. Did you learn more about the Halo's transformations? Momo let Eri down so she could go to Izuku, which was helping him feel better. The Halo might be activating that state as a way of self-defense. Like it feels my extreme emotions and just overloads me with the extremely potent dark purple stuff. That would make sense. Momo sat close to Izuku opposite of Aoyama, Eri in between Izuku and Momo. Izuku looked at the bandage on Momo's right cheek, still not accepting what happened. Momo, I am. Momo leaned towards him, putting her hand over his mouth again. I know. Izuku leaned his head against hers, both of them looking at the waves close by. I don't blame you, Momo said quietly. You should. I lost control and you got hurt, Izuku argued. It was only a prick. I knew you wouldn't hurt me worse. It's not on you, Momo whispered back. Beast would not willingly attack his beauty, Aoyama commented. Greetings, Fumikage said as he and Tsuyu approached. Are you okay, Tsuyu asked. Izuku breathed a little heavier. I guess. Remembering everything just sucks. We are here if you want to talk. Fumikage dropped down next to Aoyama, Tsuyu sitting next to him. I just want to sit here for now, Izuku replied, putting his head back against Momo's. Everyone nodding. A minute passed in silence before the rest of the search groups all found their way to the group. Room for more, Katsuki asked, not waiting for an answer before he sat next to Momo. The rest of the kids forming a line sitting on the beach. Izuku looked up and down the line, seeing everyone that came to be there for him, proving the torment that made him believe he was worthless for years to be wrong. Izuku started to tear up. I don't deserve you guys. Izuku started sobbing. Yes, you do. Momo wrapped one arm around Izuku. Aoyama rubbed Izuku's shoulder. We barely deserve you. Small golden flecks of fluid appeared in Izuku's halo veins. All Might gave a small smile as he finally found the boy he has spent an hour looking for, being comforted by his friends. He didn't plan on interrupting them anytime soon. Instead, he pulled out his phone to tell Aizawa he would be watching them to make sure they were fine. Nezu sighed as he started to dig through some paperwork in his office. He was almost always right, rarely being wrong. However, this time he was severely wrong. In hindsight, he should have done just a little more digging to find out how wrong he was. His overconfidence in himself made him think it was just abandonment issues, when he could now see barely hidden files, as if someone didn't want these to be found at all but used lackluster means of hiding them. Notes of physical injuries with at that time an unknown cause became much clearer as obvious abuse from his father. Nezu had created a mess, no telling how Hisashi would react to this and especially how Izuku himself would react in the next few days. A while later on the beach, most of the students had actually fallen asleep in their spots, All Might deciding that he should get them all to a more suitable place to sleep. He was thankful that one of the 4 kids still awake was Achako, young Uraraka. All Might spoke quietly because he didn't want to wake any of the others. Achako looked up to the hero. Are we in trouble? I should hope not. Can you help me, however, with getting your classmates to the dorms? Achako nodded. Float them back, if you are willing. Achako poked Katsuki to make him float, not noticing how when he was sleeping he was leaning on Yui, who was awake and had a small smile. I'm willing. Tenya stretched. Will we do more in the morning? I want to make sure Izuku is fine. Ijiro picked up the sleeping Toru in his arms, not minding carrying her himself. I think this definitely helped the guy, but we can't force this with him. Gotta let him open up when he is ready. Indeed, if anyone he would open up to you kids, All Might said as he watched the sleeping Izuku started to float up, under the effects of Achako's quirks. I have no doubt that this wasn't the end of events between the two. I'm not going to lie when I say I might want to kick his father's ass as much as or even more than Bakugo. Anjiro said, as wrong as wanting pain against another person is, I do agree that he deserves punishment. Tenya nodded, helping guide the sleeping students. Later, All Might looked at the 4 students in front of him. They had taken the students to their own rooms, putting Eri with Momo to give Izuku the night. I know you all are aware of the saints and their history. I was told parts of it myself. I want you to remember that what has happened to Izuku has made him very vulnerable when it comes to his own self-worth. If what I have seen in the past has taught me anything, it's that he struggles with the belief of being deserving of friends like you kids. I want you 4 to pass in the message to the others. Help Izuku learn of his self-worth. He is only going to drive himself farther and farther into danger to take everything for you. Little Eri is definitely helping in that regard especially. Tenya nodded. It is like he always says, saints look after each other. He is too busy looking out for us, so we gotta return the favor. Ijiro agreed. All Might waved to them. I will be going now. Good luck and good night to you kids. Hisashi looked in the mirror at the 3 large cuts covering the right side of his face, blackened along the edges and large enough to fit his fingertip, and if it hadn't been for his son not having his middle finger, Hisashi would have had a 4th cut go right through his right eye. Hisashi remembered the absolute hate in Izuku's eyes, filled with malice all aimed at him. If it wasn't for All Might interfering along with some of the other students, Hisashi had no doubt his son would have definitely done worse damage, or even killed him. Perhaps he should tread more carefully the next time he tries to talk to Izuku. Izuku shot up in cold sweat, having another nightmare. This time it was about the time his father abandoned him. His neck felt like it was burning with the heat that had touched it years ago, any marks having long since faded away. He checked his clock and saw that it was barely close to 3 in the morning. He sat there breathing heavy for a minute before he brought his breath to an even level. He thankfully didn't have the words echoing in his head anymore. The words that always out him down, belittled him, made him feel weak. He only had the silence at that moment, and he wanted something to fill it. Getting up and shuffling to his door, he decided to go just sit in the courtyard downstairs. Right as he was about to go down the stairs, he heard a door open. Izuku Momo yawned as she saw him. Hi Momo. Izuku waved weakly. What are you doing up? How did we even get here? Momo whispered as she got closer. Someone moved us probably. Izuku thought about it. Are you okay? Momo put a hand on Izuku's shoulder. Can I lie? Please don't. Then I am not fine. Izuku sighed. That made me think for so long I wasn't worth anything. Even after I got the halo, and you guys, it just kept ringing in my head. Momo pursed her lips. He isn't worth anything if he couldn't see your value. Izuku smiled. You know, it's weird for the diamond to tell a quarter it has value. Momo smiled as well. Are you calling me a diamond? I wanted to say something even rarer and amazing, but I drew a blank. You couldn't think of anything more incredible than a diamond. A star. The word you're looking for is Izuku. False, it is Momo. We can argue about this all night. Momo said. I will argue this because I firmly believe in my side. Izuku replied. How about instead of arguing we go fix your pistol? I think it's still in the commons. You didn't want to continue arguing because you knew I would be right. Izuku started for the stairs. Momo nudged him in the side. I will win this argument. Nope, saints are too stubborn to lose. I'm a saint to you, dork. Yuri had watched the two talk in the hallway before they went downstairs. She wanted to say something, but it felt wrong to interrupt them. She could just stay there in Momo's room for the night and let the two have their time. It was now morning. Honey, I'm home, Denki shouted as Hanta and Mashiro entered the dorms. Why do we have a new dorm? Mashiro asked as he walked up to the table where a few of the others were already eating. Can you wait until the others return for an explanation? Katsuki asked in between bites of bacon. Okay, I guess. Hanta plopped down. Say, why did Aoyama send his location to us all? Part of the explanation. Ochako answered. Mysterious, Denki remarked as he sat down. A minute later, Shoto entered the dorms as well, followed directly by Nito and Kyoka. Hello, Shoto said quietly as he sat down. How are your stitches? Minoru looked to Nito. Nito pointed to the area where the stitches had to be redone. They redid them and so far it's okay. His sister flipped out and wanted to give him a hug afterwards while apologizing and almost caused them to reopen again. Kyoka had a small smile. I just need probably one more day before I'm back to normal than intended. Nito replied as he sat down. Okay, you six, you get to play catch up right now. Katsuki said. Did something happen yesterday? Shoto asked. Spitfire was here, Ochako said as she grabbed a piece of toast. He was. Denki gasped. Oh shit. Yeah. Barely said a word, but his presence alone was enough to trigger the boss's demon state. Minoru added. Where is Izuku? Nito asked. He and Spiky Hair decided to work on his gun down here last night apparently and passed out on the couches. I woke them up a little bit ago so they can get dressed or shit, Katsuki stated. Is he okay? Shoto guessed that from his reaction the week prior to Shoto mentioning his father that the man being there wasn't good. We had to find him yesterday because he stormed out of here, because the bastard was here and Izuku ended up at Tagaba Beach. What happened exactly? Mashiro asked. Boss straight up tried to kill his dad, but All Might, Yaoyorozu and some others stopped him. Minoru answered that question. How bad did he up his dad? He only got one attack before All Might grabbed him, Ochako said. Yeah, but it still took a group to stop Izuku from attacking the guy. All Might actually struggled to hold Izuku for a second, Katsuki added. The only reason he managed to stop was Yaoyorozu got in his way and Izuku accidentally hit her. It made him stop before he left. Is Momo okay? Kyoka asked. He just nicked her cheek with one claw. Ochako drew a line with her finger on her right cheek. Anything else happen we should know about? Shoto asked. Yeah, when we found Izuku he needed comforting for obvious reasons. We gotta make sure he stays fine, but we can't force this with him. Momo said he was starting to last night with her. Ochako said. So Bakugo won't beat our asses for saying Spitfire anymore? Denki asked. As long as we aren't trying to mess with the boss, that is, which I wouldn't do. Sure, Katsuki shrugged. So who was Kirishima's secret date? Denki asked. Hagakure, Minoru answered and watched as Denki handed Hanta money. Crap, told you. Hanta grinned as he counted his new cash. You guys bet on it? Kyoka seemed irritated by that. I said it was most likely Hagakure and Denki doubted it, so we put money on it. Hanta said. No harm is done. Anyways, on to more important things. Katsuki interrupted them. I saw All Might earlier and he changed what we were doing today to something lighter. Did he say what it was? Ochako asked. The explosive teen nodded. Yeah, a race thing. He wanted to explain it to me, but I said could wait for class to hear it. More people had started to show up in the commons, everyone there save for Izuku. So what is going to happen now? Tenya asked. Surely yesterday wasn't the last of this particular thing. Well, next time I won't hold Izuku back, Katsuki said. I shouldn't have last night. Let's join him next time. What next time? Izuku came down the stairs, holding his still broken sunglasses in his hands. Boss, we were talking about yesterday. Denki seemed afraid of saying it. Izuku didn't even take a slip in his pace to the table. Though that, what happened? Melissa, actually being around them for the first time since class yesterday, asked. An asshole was here yesterday, Izuku said as he sat down. On to better things. I think I had an epiphany on fixing my glasses, so you finally won't be looking like a broke. Katsuki went with the change in topic. What's the idea? Gramps made these special for me with his quirk. Izuku had to watch his words around Melissa. His energy made them the way they were. I just guessed that what if the Namu's energy add up the way my Gramps' energy did its thing and I could just use my own energy to fix the way it all did its thing. Makes sense, Fumikage said. Didn't Todoroki absorb the Namu's energy? Melissa asked. Shoto nodded. Perhaps I can help take leftover energy if it's there. Nah, I'm keeping it if there is any. I just needed to say it to you guys first so someone could talk me out of it if it was a dumb idea, Izuku said. Momo had a smile, finally listening to what I have been saying. Only that one thing. I still think you are wrong about this morning. I disagree. Of course you do. You think you're right. Because I am right, Izuku. Wrong. Izuku put his hand over Momo's mouth to stop her from speaking, pulling it away in surprise when she added, Wait, you're gonna complain when your hand covering my mouth, but then do it yourself. Izuku wiped his hand on his pants leg. Don't be surprised when someone turns one of your tricks on you, Momo replied with a smirk. I'm going to find a way to make you regret those words. Izuku poked her shoulder. Just try to. Momo poked him back. I intend to. That's why I said it. Izuku poked her again. Katsuki coughed really loudly, getting them to stop. Do the thing with your glasses. I want to see them blow up. Izuku and Momo both got red-faced before Izuku nodded and held his glasses again. Yes, let's watch me blow up my glasses and hopefully my life now. Izuku began to leak a small amount of his green and purple energy into the glasses. It was the first time Izuku tried to pour his energy into an inanimate object and it felt weird. He could feel the other energy that was left by Johnny in it and how it wasn't flowing properly at all, meaning that everything at USJ must have knocked it apart. He didn't know which way the energy went originally and decided to make it flow in a spiral through where the lenses would be and have the edges flow into the frames. The energy started to kick it into a higher gear and flow faster. The glasses started to have a dim purple glow that was getting brighter before the glow disappeared completely, the glasses back in perfect condition. It worked, Izuku said happily as he put back on his sunglasses. Everyone noticed how golden fluid appeared in his veins for a second. Izuku saw people looking at him oddly. What? Dude, what does the gold do? Denki asked. What gold? Izuku asked in confusion. Your halo veins. Gold shit just went through them. Katsuki explained. Really? Izuku looked but didn't see any gold. I didn't know that was a thing. New ability, Ochako guessed. If it's like that black shit like it looks like it is, you might have another transformation. Katsuki shrugged. Nice. Izuku thought for a second. If the Saint's Demon's transformation is triggered by my negative emotions and it has the black fluid, then this gold stuff must be triggered by happier emotions, which makes sense when it appeared as you fixed your grandfather's glasses. Shoto said. Perhaps it might be an inverse to the demonic mode, like perhaps an angelic mode. Neat. One of these days I got to achieve it. Izuku said. Let's focus on that after the sports festival. When is the sports festival? Eri asked. It's the Monday after next, so we have 11 days to train. Ijiro grinned. Honestly, I'm pumped. So I am. Izuku nodded. Get to kick the other classes' asses. Katsuki added. And show the world the debut of the Saints. Izuku grinned. Chisaki was walking through an alley, returning to his hideout, when someone spoke. Are you Chisaki Kai? Chisaki looked at the man who had just approached him with curiosity. How did this man know his name? The man was huge, wearing a mask that he could barely make out the red and green designs of underneath the hood that man had up. How do you know that name? Chisaki thought to take off his gloves and use overhaul, but the man seemed to be purposely standing as if he meant no harm. I take that as a yes. Don't worry, I am just a messenger. The man scratched the part of his face not covered by the mask. Forgive me if I feel like I should worry. Chisaki replied. Not many are bold enough to speak my name or get in close proximity to me. I have been told I am bold before. The man had a smirk. My master is even bolder. He actually has an offer for you. Who is your master? Chisaki scanned the area and saw no one else. He is not able to come here yet. However, he wanted to offer help because of something. Help in return for help. How can he help me? Chisaki gave a raised eyebrow. The man pulled out a phone and held it up, showing the clip of Chisaki and that boy when they fought for Eri. You have a similar pest problem as my master. He want to offer help in your cause and in return have you crush the Saints. How will he help me? Chisaki did feel intrigued to take the offer, but needed more information. Well, the Saints being crushed is something you should want as well. However, my master told me to give this extra boost to you if you accept. The man held up an orange medallion with what appeared to be a tribal-styled stencil of a stag's head on it in white. What is that? Chisaki looked at it confused. Power, the man replied with a grin. They were now in their classroom, Melissa and Eri excluded. Melissa went to the support department and Eri was with All Might at Recovery Girls Clinic. She wasn't hurt or anything. They were just doing more tests on her quirk to find out what it was. So what do you think we got today with Aizawa-sensei? Mina asked. Probably nothing extra. Denki shrugged. Hey Momo, did you try to cool things with general studies yet? Izuku asked. Momo closed her encyclopedia. I did try to speak with them, but they didn't want to hear it. I think they assumed I was trying to talk them down. Hey, at least you tried. Izuku responded. They didn't want to hear words and that's on them. Hello class. Aizawa shuffled into the class. I have a few announcements. First, here is this. Aizawa pulled a letter out of his pocket and handed it to Mashurao. Can you pass that to Midoriya? Mashurao nodded and it was passed back to Izuku, who saw it was just his name printed on the front. Who is this from? Izuku asked, not wanting to open it if it was from his father. The principal wants to apologize but thought you wouldn't want to see him right now, Aizawa said. Izuku put the letter in his pocket, deciding to read it later. Next, I want to be honest with all 20 of you. Everyone looked at Aizawa confused. I know about the Saints. Yea, we have mentioned it before and you do sponsor us. Izuku said. Midoriya, you know what I mean. Aizawa gave the boy a tired look. It took only a second to think about all of your powers and I admittedly interrogated All Might last night when he returned from bringing you all here last night. He told me some of it. Don't worry about your secrets. They are safe with me. You all have come together as a group to help each other's potential grow and I won't be in the way of that. Just keep me in the loop so I can make sure you kids don't put yourself in too much trouble." Aizawa finished. Got it. Izuku was worried at first that Aizawa had found out and interrogated All Might, but Aizawa was now a willing ally. "Finally, due to me knowing your group and everything, I asked for a certain future task to be done today. If you all want to be debuting your group at the sports festival, you all should have your hero names." "Our hero names?" Mina gasped in excitement. Aizawa looked like the loudness that came over the class had given him a headache. "Yes, Midnight is going to be here in a minute to help you all, since I have no expertise or advice in this area." Aizawa pulled out his sleeping bag and laid down in it behind his desk. "Our hero names," Denki said. "Oh boy, I can't wait to have mine. I already know what I want it to be. The dumbass hero, Pikachu." Katsuki started laughing. Denki deflated. "You're probably going to be called the jackass hero, boy." Katsuki threw a paper at him. "Ew, although I do admit that was a good comeback." Izuku took the chance to read Nezu's letter. "Dear Midoriya, I apologize immensely for how horribly I misguessed how bad things were in regard to your relationship with your father. I would not blame you if you have a grudge against me at this point. I have escorted Hisashi off of the campus last night and asked him to not set foot on the campus, as we do not condone the treatment you had received. Whether or not this all comes to light in the public eye is up to you. I hope this doesn't dissuade you from continuing your tenure at UA. Sincerely, Nezu." "What did Principal Nezu say?" Nito asked. "He wanted to apologize for how badly he ate up. He kicked my father off of the grounds and barred him from being here. Also said that it is my choice whether or not the shit my father did to me in the past is revealed at all." Izuku summarized. "He might starting your ass now for a bit." Katsuki said. "I already know my hero name now," Mina said. "You all are going to love it, but you gotta wait for Midnight to be here." "Did someone say Midnight?" The named hero entered the room. "Hello little cuties," the class greeted her. "Okay, let's get right into it. Today I help you all make your hero names. You must be picking a name that you are all going to be alright with. Because once you debut anywhere with that name, it will be what people remember as your hero name. Make it kid-friendly if you can. We can't be dropping F-bombs every time you are mentioned." Katsuki could be heard cursing quietly as now he had to change his name. "You don't need an epithet, the more descriptive part of your hero name, but they can add a little pizzazz to your name." "Wait, do we have to avoid copyrights?" Mina asked. "Please do." Mina snapped her fingers in disappointment. "Well, there goes being called Alien Queen. You could just go by Pinky. Half of us call you that already." Katsuki said. "Alien Queen fits you a bit more," Fumikage said from his seat next to her. Nina was going to say something to Katsuki about Pinky being the best choice, but Fumicage's words made her stop and think. "Here are some whiteboards. Think it over and come up here one at a time to present to your classmates. Or do it from your desk." Tenya raised his hand. "What if we don't have one?" Tenya was told by his older brother that he would one day get the Ingenium name. He didn't want to have something that wasn't his family's well-known hero name. Midnight nodded and answered. "It is fine if you don't have one yet. After today, if you don't have one, you can always come by my class to have me file in the name when you get it." Tenya nodded, satisfied with his answer. "All right, who's first?" Midnight asked. Denki shot up. "Here's mine." He held up his board, which read something. He spoke. "The stunning hero, charge a bolt. Perfect, it describes your quirk perfectly." "Here's mine." Hanta stood up. "Taping hero, cellophane." Mashurao stood next, holding his board that said one word. "Someone said my tail reminded them of the animal and it can describe my fighting spirit." Mashurao seemed embarrassed. His board read the word lion. "Ah dude, that's awesome. Lion is badass." Denki said. "It fits you." Ochako gave his smile. Minoru stood up, on his desk to get noticed. "I am going to be the freshly picked hero, G-Vine." "You literally are a G-Vine if we think about it." Hanta nodded along. "I shall be the shining hero." Edoil Aoyama declared with one of his poses. "Edoil sounds French," Midnight remarked. "Oui, it means star, the only things to outshine me. It's perfect for you, man." Izuku nodded. "I'm going to be the sturdy hero, Red Riot." Ajiro said. "Sounds badass, especially after you took those scars." Katsuki said. "I'm the stealth hero, Invisible Girl." Toru said her really on-the-nose name. "The rainy season hero, Froppy." Suyu announced hers. "Cute, definitely going to be well-liked." Yui looked at Katsuki, who was struggling to come up with something not overly violent. "Need help?" "I wanted to go with King Explosion Murder, but now I don't think I can." Katsuki frowned. That was his second option. "How about Fuse?" Yui offered. "You can create explosions and are your own fuse." Katsuki mulled it over. He patted Yui's shoulder. "That's amazing. Thanks." Katsuki actually had a smile. Yui's face turned red the second she saw the smile, and Katsuki started to write down his name. Next Katsuki stood up. He held his board. "I'm going to be the explosive hero, Fuse." "It's good." Midnight nodded, expecting to say something she would have to veto hard. "Damn right it was good. It was made by a smart person." Katsuki sat down. Yui blushing harder at the praise. Fumikage stood up. "My name shall be the jet black hero, Tsukayomi." Fits your whole dark theme. Mina grinned. Okay, I'm going to be the alien queen. That might remind people of the xenomorph and scare kids. Midnight said. Don't care. I look like an alien. I am definitely a queen, Mina defended herself. Plus she acts like a fool half the time, so she's really not scary. Katsuki added. I'm going to find something to scare you with. Mina pointed at Katsuki. Ooh, I'm so scared. Katsuki waved his arms mockingly. I'm shaking. Midnight decided to not argue with the pink girl over her hero name. I will be keeping my regular name for now, Tenya announced. Mezu held up his board. Tentacle hero, tentacle. Fits. Midnight nodded. Achako raised her board. It's not the best, but gravity is what I want to go with. It's unique, definitely fits. Mashiro said. Yui, finally getting her blush under, raised her board. I chose Rule. Funny that I keep calling you princess and now you are named Rule. Katsuki chuckled, trying to take control of the class apparently. Yui blushed again, but luckily it was small enough to not be noticed. She didn't know why she felt like the way she was at that moment every time Katsuki spoke, interacted with, or was just around her. It's not really original, but the hearing hero, earphone jack. Kyoka held up her board. I like it, Nito said. Kyoka looked at him, a small smile. Of course you like it. It's my thing. My name is going to be the copying hero. Phantom Thief, Nito stated. Nice, Kyoka commented as Nito sat down. Shoto stood up and held his board. I choose Coldfire. Momo went next. The everything hero, Creati. Cute, Izuku remarked as she sat back down. Thanks, I try. Well, you're last, so what's your name? Momo asked. Izuku looked at his blank board, trying to think of a name. He remembered a conversation a few years ago. What's the point of superhero names in this timeline? Gat asked as he spotted Izuku, who was benching a small fridge as he was told to do. When quirks first appeared, vigilantes would use code names to hide their identities. Heroes nowadays use hero names to honor the first heroes, Izuku explained, halfway through putting the fridge down. PSSH. Honestly, if I was gonna be a hero, I would just use my name, or a family name, I guess. If anything not name related, it would be Stillwater. I was raised there. Gat fed a broken car's mirror. Something that should mean something to me, I guess. I still don't know what my hero name is going to be, Izuku said. He was trying to think about it but couldn't think of anything. Just make it your name then. I don't know how hero names work. As long as it means something to you and what has made you what you are, then I think you're set, brat. Gat fist bumped Izuku's shoulder. Now we gotta do something manly to get over this sentimental stuff. Let's spar so I can see how you have been working on your form. Izuku had a soft smile as he wrote down his hero name, knowing exactly what it should be now. Your last boss. What's the name? Katsuki asked. Izuku looked at everyone. My hero name is based on what I was told once. Make your name mean something to you and what has made you what you are. I want to show where my strength comes from. My name is going to be just that. Show exactly where I got my strength. Izuku flipped over his board and showed his hero name. Everyone nodded when they saw it, knowing how much it truly did mean to Izuku and where he got his true potential. The heroic saint, Gat.